Welcome along to episode 7 of The Endless Stream. I am Aidan, and as usual I am joined by Kevin and Brian. We are 3 artists, illustrators, animators, and all-round shit-talkers that are going to take some of the endless stream of content brought to you through Netflix, Amazon Prime, Hulu, Disney+. Wherever you get your content, we're going to take a chunk of it and we're going to talk about it. Given the nature of these conversations, they are very spoiler-heavy, so if you haven't watched Loki and you haven't watched The Black Widow, go off and watch those now and then come back and join the conversation. This week, to celebrate the release of The Black Widow, we are joined by repeat guest Croí Burrowes, who you may remember from episode 12, MODOK Beats His Blender. If you like what you hear, please consider subscribing to the podcast and heading over to Instagram or TikTok, where you can follow us at @TheEndlessCast. All of our socials are @TheEndlessCast, and we do illustrations to go with each episode, and we pull out clips and we try and engage with our audiences much as we can over there. If you'd like to make a suggestion as to something to watch, or you want to just send us a message one way or another, our email address is theendlesscast@gmail.com. All of that being said, let's jump into the episode. The big thing this week is going to be chatting about The Black Widow, and I guess Loki as well. We have been talking about Loki week on week. The Black Widow is out now, and it is the first Marvel film for, feels like, did you say it was 2 years, Brian?
Yep, 2 years.
It was so hard. I guess I watched Endgame an endless amount of times, though. We had Far From Home after that, right?
Yeah, we did.
Far From Home was June-ish 2019, I believe.
It was a good tonic for after Endgame.
It was a very much a like, now let's process our feelings about Tony Stark's death movie.
For sure.
It took us all on that journey as well. But there is a bunch of other stuff happening in the world of streaming and broadcasting and television and otherwise. So, trailers this week. I only watched a handful, but there were a bunch of others. We got The Witcher trailer for season 2. Did you guys watch season 1 of The Witcher?
Yep.
Nope. I wish I did, but it's that kind of like Game of Thrones vibe, and I never got into that just personally. But it does look good, in fairness to them.
Is that just is that fantasy or?
No, it's just the kind of intensity. Like, I love
It's
Lord
quite
of the Rings.
different from Game of Thrones. I think the reason they made it is because there was a proven audience for fantasy stuff with the success of Game of Thrones and the success of the game.
Yeah.
But I've only played the games, but they're much more, to me, they felt much more like a kind of a folklore fairy tale type of fantasy, as opposed to this kind of gritty Game of Thrones kind of intense fantasy. It's, to me anyway, it's much more of a fairy tale type thing. It's a bit more grown up and stuff, but it's not, it's quite distinct from Game of Thrones. It's very different.
I should check it out.
Yeah, there's still, I was going to say there's still violence, but like there's a sword fight in the first episode that gets sort of replayed a lot. It's a beautifully choreographed piece of action, and Henry Cavill does a great job with it, and the stunt crew do a great job of it, and it's pretty visceral. And as I say that, I'm like, I don't think we actually ever got anything like that in Game of Thrones. Like, they kind of built up to some fights, but you never really got that sort of like set piecey style action. They always went for a more like just the cruelty of reality kind of medieval violence kind of thing. Somebody just gets bluntly hit in the face and it's like, oh my god, the horror. You know, there is sometimes a difference between just aggressive, realistic violence and then sort of action that's a bit visceral, you know. I don't know if I'm selling one over the other here, but like, The Witcher's a little more comic booky in it. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah. That's a good advertisement for me anyways.
It's a funny one because I know that like, the game is a Polish studio.
Yep.
And I think they've had some shtick about like representation stuff in the past as well. Like Eastern European stuff sometimes is not. I've got to be careful how I broad stroke a nation here, but you know, like Poland has some fair, like I think they have some pretty rough LGBT laws and track record wise. I don't think that's present in the game. I think there's a little rougher sort of mindset in the books, not necessarily pertaining to LGBT issues, but just sort of general like don't know, misogyny or worldview, but the game is very popular. They filtered that out for a broader audience, I guess, and the show is definitely not going anywhere anything troublesome in that regard. Is that fair to say?
I think so.
I mean, I'm kind of yielding to Brian on this because he's played the games, and like, if I'm saying anything that's inaccurate, please do tell me to shut up. Witcher 2 trailer, though, really starting to expand the universe. We see a whole bunch of other Witchers. What's the name of the girl with the blonde hair that is his destiny?
I think in the show they still call her Sorella, but the game...
I was like, Lorraine? But that's density.
In the books, there's kind of Siri for short in the books.
Yeah. Ah, okay. Yeah.
Does he ever go, "Hey Siri"?
I mean, I think he might.
He must in the game, probably. The game is so long as well, so if he did say it at some point, I've forgotten.
One of the things that bothered me about the first series is there were a couple of instances of them being too sort of tongue-in-cheek about their content. He has this bard sidekick that sings song about him because he's again, Brian knows the games better, I just know the show, but this character, even though he's a necessary thing,
they're kind of reviled as well because they're to become a Witcher, basically they go through a kind of
training montage.
No, it's this kind of lengthy they're experimented on basically from the age of like 10 or something. So they're effectively mutants. So not only do people not want to have to hire one because needing one means you've got a problem, but then Witchers are very much seen as outcasts. They're kind of seen as not human. They're kind of
they're half monsters in order to fight monsters.
Not quite. No.
You know? Okay, well. But he has this bard sidekick that sings songs about, his glorious battles in order to try and kind of make him more palatable to people that he meets. He builds the legend of Geralt. And one of the lines in it is after a battle with an elf. I say battle, like he blows these things way out of proportion. One of the lines in it, he puts every elf right back on their shelf. And it's like...
And every dwarf on a box.
But that's an elf on a shelf reference. Like, that's a modern reference to a Christmas tradition. You know what I mean? They're a little... I don't think Tolkien was talking about the fucking Charleston in the middle of, Lord of the Rings. You stick to the world you're building.
To make a musical, though, of Lord of the Rings where everybody just, like, randomly bursts into the Charleston. Yeah. That's
sort of Gatsby meets Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
In the film, they did, like, have that line, where he's like, I wasn't dropping no eaves. So, that's... Lord of the Rings isn't without its own kind of meta, modern humor,
But is I wasn't dropping no eaves? I if that's a reference to something I didn't.
As a reference to taking ecstasy, dropping ease. I wasn't.
Oh,
but it still works within the context because
eavesdropping,
eavesdropping,
but the joke is that I wasn't.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is that is that the joke?
Yeah.
Or is that just people doing drugs?
That's the joke.
Took that as the joke.
That's the joke. It's got plenty of those.
Anywho, yeah, that's by way of saying that there's a bit of silly humor in The Witcher as well, and maybe worth a look. It I don't know, definitely broadened Henry Cavill's audience.
If it wasn't already broad enough with Superman, as broad as his shoulders.
Indeed, they are quite expansive.
Good morning.
Morning, Kevin. There were some quiet waves as Kevin joined us.
Sorry for being late.
So the Witcher 2 trailer, or the Witcher Season 2 trailer, more monsters, more Witchers by the look of it. I guess they've built that castle set, so I think we'll probably spend a lot of time there. You can spot ahead of time where the money's going to be. December, I guess, Christmas. There's
the animated, I don't know, is it a short or a series in August before that from Studio Mir, the guys behind Avatar.
Okay.
I was going to say Avatar and then I was like, was it that?
Are they ever actually going to release Avatar 2?
Yes, but not that Avatar, different Avatar.
Yeah. I was like, holy, I hope not. I really hope not.
Oh, you see the guys behind
Yes.
Airbender?
Yeah. But the animated series, not the well, actually, no, there is no movie in Ba Sing Se.
I don't know about that. It's very good. It's one of M. Night Shyamalan's better works.
Kev, if you just want to drop off the call.
That is a joke, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't really make it today, so that was my plan. I'll see you guys later. Speed Racer sucks. Bye.
Jesus Christ, the mileage.
So yeah, there's an animated. I don't actually. Must check. Is it a kind of a short film or is it a series? But there's a character from the book and games who's kind of almost like a mentor. At least in the games, he's kind of like a mentor figure to Geralt. And I think the animated series is going to follow him in his youth. So it's going to be a kind of a prequel introduction to that character. That's out in August before season 2 in December. So looking forward to it.
There's like in selling The Witcher to Croí, whether or not she'll ever watch it.
I'm a hard audience to impress.
You wouldn't be up for watching The Witcher, Croí?
Well, no, it's not that I wouldn't be up for it. It's just like something, it needs to be very good to grab my attention, I think. Yeah, I'm still making my way through the Clone Wars, so...
I watched Bill and Ted's Face the Music last night. And my standards are a lot lower than
Is
yours.
it good? Was it good, though? Was it worth watching?
No.
Okay. Right,
No,
well.
it's awful. And I watched the first Bill and Ted movie as well, and you know what? It's not great.
Well, I happen to think that it's excellent.
I know it's fun, but it's one of those things that it's just like it's more nostalgic than actually good.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I can
It is
understand
shock
that.
there, but it's true. Loki, it's like it has serious TVA vibes.
Yeah. Okay.
Rufus is like Mobius.
Okay.
Trying to fix the timeline. There's the 3 people, like the timekeepers or whatever.
Bill and Ted
kind
or
of-
Loki and Sylvie.
Pardon?
Bill and Ted or Loki and Sylvie.
Yeah, kind of, yeah. Well, yes, they are, because they're an anomaly in the timeline because they don't pass their history test. They don't go on to become the Wild Stallions and like create an album that unites humanity, you know. So kind of Rufus is employed by future people to be sent back in time to make sure these guys pass their history test, bring them to different locations to make the presentation, you know. And then that corrects the timeline. God, I'm so sweaty.
Did you watch the trailer for What If?
Yes.
I did. It looks really interesting. I really like the concept because they can basically do whatever they want. So I'm particularly interested to see Peggy Carter as Captain America. Because they're getting the actors as well, or most of the actors, to voice their actual characters.
Except Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah.
That was glaringly
Yeah.
not Robert Downey Jr. It's like I feel like you could have just pulled it from the movie.
But I know
right?
Sebastian Stan and Hayley Atwell are doing theirs, so
Sounded like Chris Hemsworth was back as
that
well.
would be good. Is he?
Sounded like he was. Maybe I watched something else.
Good for him if he was.
People are panicking because they didn't use him for What If, and then apparently he unfollowed a load of his co-stars on social media. And it's like, who cares? But it was all over my news feed. People were like going, Robert Downey Jr. has unfollowed his co-stars. What does it mean? It's like nothing. Like, chill the fuck out. But I saw 3 or 4 different.
It's the biggest act of war you can commit these days.
Yeah. But it was 3 or 4 newspapers, like not even kind of, clickbaity kind of stuff. It was like newspapers talking about it.
But
It's crazy.
well, he could have easily just been like, hey, like I'm just not arsed with Instagram. I'm just gonna unfollow a bunch of people.
Yeah.
And his co-stars knew it. Maybe he even said to his co-stars parents, "Oh, once all this stuff is over,
do you think he runs his Instagram?
I don't think anybody runs their own.
No,
Instagram.
exactly. Yeah.
No, they don't.
No,
It's just me.
Donald Trump
definitely not.
and Aiden.
Yeah, that showed.
I tell you, if I'm trying to put logic on it, unfollow all of those people. Because first of all, who he's following doesn't fucking matter a fuck. And then next time he does a movie with Scarlett Johansson and they want to build a hype machine, then they can refollow and you've got another news story, you know?
Yeah, it's not like they're dead
You
to
can
each
make
other
an
or
event
anything.
out of these things.
Even though they're dead in universe, but...
He's done it for over a decade. He's been Marvel's fucking poster boy. Like, I'm sure he wants to get back to
He just wants a
other
break.
movies.
Aiden, you shaved your beard. It looks great. Yeah.
Does it?
Missed opportunity to give yourself an Iron Man beard, though. Like, a bit of a do.
That never works out well. It barely worked out well in the Iron Man movie.
I'm contemplating shaving mine off.
The beard's thinned out, and I went to just sort of trim it back, and I'm like, okay, shave this fucker back, and let's see if we can get a clean growth in. Anyway, Beard Talk. Welcome to Beard Talk.
My skin's too dry.
I feel like I'm not qualified for this conversation.
Cree, you can have opinions about beards. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah, they're great. I mean, as for Halloween once I went as Brothor from Endgame, which was
very
really
good.
fun, and I had a fake beard, and it was all fun and games.
Yeah.
It's the best idea for a Halloween costume I've ever had because it was the most comfortable thing. I was literally wearing pajamas. It was fab.
I mean, it'd be easy for me. I wouldn't have to do much. Just get a hammer.
Well, I actually had Stormbreaker
Oh.
as a nice that was fun to wield around and play around with. It was fun.
But
Brian, any thoughts on the visuals of What If?
Of course I do. I hate him.
Yeah, okay, let's go.
Really?
I don't like them either. I'm not mad about how they look. I thought if each episode was a different animation style, it would be better.
Oh, that would have been a good concept.
But they went for that real computer game cell shady stuff.
They should have done a animatrix on it. Like
Get a bunch of different creators.
I mean, it's Star Wars are doing that and it looks fantastic.
What's that called?
I don't remember.
Okay, I'll do a little Google.
Star Wars Visions.
Visions.
Visions, is it?
Yeah, I saw like a samurai take, and I'm like, well, they've been talking about how Star Wars could be a samurai movie forever and how Kurosawa influenced it is, so it's kind of cool to see that art.
But they got, I think there's like 9 studios and like some of the like top studios in Japan doing stuff. This is a big missed opportunity, I think. Doing them all in one style that looks like a PS2
I was just going to say it looked like a cutscene. Great minds. No, I think the animation could grow on me. I'm not particularly fussed about it. I'm just excited for the concept.
In stills, it looks lovely.
Yeah.
Yep, it does. Yeah, it's very stiff, kind of.
In stills,
like
the shots of the Iron Man suit, the shots of the Captain Carter thing, like it looks lovely. There's so much detail
really
to
nice.
it. But when you see any of the performance shots where you hear a voice and you see faces moving, it's like these faces are barely connected to the.
Yeah.
Like it's like, I don't know. Maybe the action, the animation's amazing, but the rigs also look kind of limited. So I feel like it'd be kind of stiff.
Yeah.
I follow a lot of those artists like on between Twitter and Instagram, like big fans of their work, but in motion I don't like the kind of look of the show, but I'll definitely check it out. I'm kind of interested in the story potential from it. So
who do we see in the trailer? We see
T'Challa
Captain Carter as the super soldier.
as Star-Lord.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which that's a really cool concept.
Killmonger's in it
Yes,
Yeah.
Killmonger
Killmonger's back,
saves Iron Man, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the trailer. Which sort of makes sense. Like they said that he was a sort of American soldier of fortune, kind of,
Yeah.
employed by whatever.
It would be cool if every notch on his skin in this one is like someone he saved.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, that's just
that's a nice
randomly just popped into my head because like they could do whatever they want, so they could flip that on its head too.
It's still a psychopathic reaction to an
Oh,
achievement.
totally.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
like I've bought 10 coffees, I get a free one.
But
Free
at
one with
least you're a
every 10
psychopathic
scars.
good guy, because
This is true.
that's
If you're going to be on the scale of it, you may as well be on one side of it.
chaotic good.
Would T'Challa have that accent if he was raised by
I was thinking that, but
the Reavers?
but then like if you think about it, Quill don't talk like this. Do you know, like when
this is true also.
kind of the Ravagers do talk like that, so he would have like a weird kind of southern accent, and Quill doesn't. So if we're not going to hold Quill to the same standard, I don't know. Because he was
Completely
raised
fair.
like, I mean, so you would have an accent, but like maybe you could, I mean, this is like scraping the bottom of the barrel here in terms of excuses, but you could say like, oh, it's part of their character that they want to hold on to what they came from, so they fight tooth and nail to keep their own accent.
But he was,
so
he
maybe
was, if it's T'Challa kind of in the Star-Lord's universe and stuff, Peter Quill was abducted at like a young age, but like 9 or 10 maybe or something like that, So if he grew up in Wakanda, he'd 100% have that accent and would for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
I tattooed somebody recently who was born in the UK, was there for maybe like not even 2 years when they were born, and came back and live in Lucan and have a tick and have an English accent. It just happens, I guess. You maybe their parents were around had an English accent, it rubs off. But like it's really accents are just one of those things that like it's like people either have them or they don't. But it's like people pick them up and lose them so easily.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah, I think he would retain his accent. I wouldn't have an issue with that at all.
Did Chadwick record voice
What
work
kind
for
of
this?
accent is this? I don't know.
No.
It doesn't
No.
sound like
Okay.
it.
It sounds like someone else.
It sounds
Yeah.
like a voice actor.
Because he died
2020.
middle of last year. It just feels like they've been working on this for a while, so they might have had the voice working.
Actually, I picked up Avengers kind of versus Moon Knight type of stuff, Age of Khonshu, and it was a run last year.
Khonshu?
Oh, I always pronounce it wrong. Khonshu, yeah. I always read things once and then it's in my head and then that's how I pronounce it forever.
Yeah.
Um,
Kevin is on a Moon Knight quest. He is currently buying up anything and everything he can get that's kind of Moon Knighty. I don't think it's that dementedly driven, but it definitely is happening.
I've got a Moon Knight comic here, Kev, if you want to buy it. It's 500
is it the only one of it? Yeah, I'll take it.
It's
I'll
a
take
one-off.
It. Yeah, 600.
It's
600.
the only one. It's the only one.
Yeah,
Moon Knight. Chat.
Are you still eBaying for the thrill?
no.
That's a yes.
No.
So tell us about the Moon Knight.
I was just going
Avengers
to say,
song.
on the cover of it, it does have like a little bar at the top that is in kind of memory of. Yeah. So they obviously printed a ton of comic books in 2020, all with the same kind of banner at the top of memory of Chadwick. Yeah, Black Panther. I can't pronounce his name.
Chadwick Boseman.
Pardon?
Chadwick Boseman.
Chadwick Boseman. Yeah, I just want to do Michael Roddy doing your thing again.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Yeah.
Did you mean to say Michael Rodney
No,
Jr.?
I didn't.
Hey, look, I called Sean Ashmore, so we're all guilty.
Yeah,
Michael Rodney
I'm
Jr.
Yeah, I know.
That was your reach.
I'm sorry.
It's amazing. I love it. I do love it. It's like it's some of the right sounds. We all know who you're talking about. Okay. I guess What If is August. We'll see where we land on it. I don't know. Some of the animated shows stuff we've been trying to watch and talk about, like it hasn't really, MODOK. We kind of tried to watch and talk about that a little bit, but like it just didn't connect. I guess that Robot Chicken style.
Are they going to do this once a week as well?
I hope not.
It's kind of annoying.
I would say that they
prefer-
would to drag it out, sort of.
I think, yeah. I think this is much better suited to dropping it all at once.
Oh, yeah.
So kind of
Yeah.
like as an anthology, but they probably won't.
Because
you're right.
they're trying to like draw it out so that people will, if you can have like the least amount of time in between Marvel content this year, I think that's probably what they'll try to do.
I think it's a mistake for this type of stuff. We probably all would have binged MODOK if it was all at once, and we might have landed differently.
Because it's kind of like the Animatrix in that sense that like it is content that can be delivered and binged, and it probably should do that as it's not like a standalone, or each episode is like a standalone thing essentially. Yeah, it'd be easier to digest.
And another thing,
not everybody's going to watch What If like we're going to watch What If, but they don't want us picking on one episode for a week.
Yeah.
Like
It's not
they
enough.
should have just thrown a bunch of concepts at us and let us be impressed rather
Like the
than
robots thing we watched.
Yeah,
Yep.
Love, Death and Robots. We plowed through that and gave that like we were just generally impressed. But if I had to pick out one of those episodes for a week,
Yeah. You were gonna say something there, Croí, I think.
Yeah, actually, because what I was thinking with like another issue with MODOK is like it's fairly short. Like the Loki and WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier episodes, they're long enough for you to pick it apart. They're practically like mini movies. But MODOK was only like 20 odd minutes or so. Like that every week is
that's
like
not...
people aren't gonna.
But even the thing there is, when I was trying, like the first 3 or 4 episodes, I tried to watch them before I came on here. I felt like a long 20 minutes.
It did.
It was a long.
I don't think it's maybe funny enough for it to keep your attention. Not like no shade to it, just personally.
I've not watched it since we kind of decided that we're not going to really cover on the pod anymore. Not in a bad way.
Yeah.
It's just I have not watched it because I don't have kind of the time to do it. But I was enjoying it, and I'd probably pick it up. Like, you know, it's one of those things that I'm not invested in it, so I can just enjoy it for the 2 laughs I get from it, and it's fine. I'm not going to necessarily criticize it because it made me laugh twice in 20 minutes. That's pretty okay, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, that's what we're saying. When there's a whack of it there, I'm going to watch it.
Yeah.
But back on the list of trailers, I watched the trailer for Val. Did anybody else watch that?
I was just going to bring... Absolutely. I actually watched it before you sent it on to us, and I'm definitely going to watch it. Val Kilmer is such an interesting dude.
Oh, yeah, poor Val.
Yeah. That's going to be like... And all of the footage I was kind of nerding out over. I was like, oh my god, I need to see this.
For context for the listeners, there was a trailer this week for Val, which is a documentary about the life of Val Kilmer. Kind of autobiographical.
It's going to be on Amazon Prime,
It sets up the idea... It's going to be
Amazon Prime, I think.
And when's it released?
in cinemas July 23rd, August 6th for Prime Video.
I'll definitely watch it.
So he sets up in the trailer, or whoever's doing the voice work in the trailer, sets up that he was the youngest person he knew who ever had a video camera. You know, growing up, he had a video camera from a very young age. And I guess he, as a bit of a hobbyist, has filmed some or all of the shit that goes on in his life. Very much like everybody does now with their phones. But you were more of a weirdo in those days because you actually had to like stack a shit ton of cassettes on a wall somewhere. Just like lots and lots of beta tapes or VHS tapes.
He's the OG.
He had a lull in his career, had what looked like the beginnings of a revival or a renaissance with Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Yeah, he was was he Perry Mason in that or something? Is that his character's name?
Perry
White or Perry Mason, I don't know.
The platypus.
Gay Perry, wasn't
Gay Perry.
Yeah, he was brilliant in
I
it.
thought you said Katy Perry, and I was like, okay.
He was brilliant in it. He was brilliant.
First thing that comes into my brain, being in my generation, when someone says Perry, is the platypus.
What's that?
Phineas and Ferb, you guys.
No, not a good cartoon.
No.
It's ugly looking and stupid. Next question.
The kind of, I guess, the reveal at the end of this trailer is it's not something that we didn't know. The world was aware that Val Kilmer had throat cancer over the last couple of years. He's had a couple of movie appearances where you see him and you go, oh boy, he does not look well. I hope he's okay. And this is the first time you kind of get a clear sense that like he's using a voice box. Yeah. His larynx is kind of, I don't know to what extent the damage is, but yeah, he's not communicating well, and that's kind of the point they make it. So he's taken the time to sort of put this documentary thing together. He was doing this Mark Twain tour where he
It was a one-man show, wasn't it?
It was a one-man show,
he wrote it,
and
did he?
and he did this performance that was much. I think it was very well received, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
I could be wrong.
That sounds about right.
What was weird was when he started like touring the video and doing Q&As as Mark Twain and stuff. It was a little odd that he sort of like went down that rabbit hole. But I'm going to give this a watch. It's chock full of footage of, well, in the trailer anyway, of sort of 80s Brat Pack, Kevin Bacon. I mean, I wonder if there's any footage from Top Gun. More behind the scenes volleyball.
We can only dream.
Or even, like, I mean, he's been in some of my favourite films, like Willow and Real Genius are, like, stand out in
Tombstone.
Films that I like. Yeah.
Yeah, I have Tombstone tattoo on my ribs.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah,
do you?
I'll be a Huckleberry. It's a quote that Val Kilmer, it's something Val Kilmer says in the movie as he plays Doc Holliday.
Yeah, he was really good in that. He inhabited the character so well.
I saw that movie recently, and I didn't like it.
Really?
I thought it was very silly.
Yes.
I mean, yeah, it's like exaggerated and things, but I think it's watchable for sure.
Yeah, I'm always gonna love it,
There's a lot of there's an extended sort of monologue over a montage of, is it Kurt Russell saying, if I see anybody with a red scarf I will shoot them on sight, and then there's just like a murder montage, and I'm like, is this the hero? It's a bit
murder.
murder.
Wild West, it was probably as realistic as, or it's probably like a fairly accurate
Pretty
portrayal.
much. Yeah. I mean, it's called Tombstone. Don't expect like Sunshine and Daisies.
This is true.
I know it's the name of the town, but still.
No, you're right. Yeah.
Sunshine and Daisies, weird town.
Sunnydale.
Yeah. Summer Bay.
So that's Val.
A valiant effort.
Anyone watch any other trailers then? I know there's a bunch of other stuff listed. There's a Sweet Girl with Jason Momoa, which looks odd. I don't know what to say about it.
So it looks like you don't want Momoa that.
Anyone else?
I can't do puns. I'm awful at puns.
I think you mean shows that you've seen or trailers.
I mean, I got that, but I couldn't respond with a pun. I wanted to, but I couldn't.
Pun match.
Yes.
Listen, editing works. Let's take a moment to workshop it.
I don't Manoa. I don't Jason. I don't Jason.
What did you watch this week, Kev?
What did I watch this week? So I think for the most part this week we have watched Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Nice.
Oh, you're still going through the rewatch with Emer.
Oh, were you doing chronological then?
So, yes, in the order of the MCU timeline. Yes.
I still need to do that.
Do the two Guardians sort of go right after each other?
Yeah, they do actually.
Back to back in the Rio Range. Christian woman in the devil's hand. Guardians of the Galaxy 1, Guardians of the Galaxy 2, Avengers Age of Ultron, Ant-Man. That's what we've watched this week, and we started watching Civil War. And Civil War is brilliant. I'm actually enjoying all of these movies more this time around, to be honest. All of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Even if like some of them I'm thinking, oh, it's like I probably enjoyed it more than the first time.
Well, that's a fairly entertaining bunch of them.
I hate both Guardians films.
Okay, well, I'm not going to acknowledge that.
I'll say it again. I hate both Guardians.
Did anyone hear a faint whispering?
Brian doesn't like
Or am
fun.
I going crazy?
Emer's least favorite, I think, of so far of what we watched though, Winter Soldier.
Yeah, good choice.
She doesn't like it.
Oh, what? Oh, okay.
No, she
I
doesn't
thought you
like
said
it. It's
her
one of my
favorite.
favorites.
Oh, okay. Well,
No. She loves Guardians of the Galaxy and Ant-Man.
that is a good choice.
And she was really enjoying Civil War. She thought Civil War was phenomenal.
Winter Soldier didn't work for her.
No. She said there wasn't enough character development. She didn't really care.
Right.
I mean, I probably told her beforehand it was one of my favorites, so that's probably why she doesn't like it.
That's why.
Yeah.
That's why. Yeah. No, we know she needs to maintain dominance in the relationship.
I just have to say, because like I've been watching in the lead up to Black Widow, I've been chronologically watching all of her movies up to and including Civil War, and Winter Soldier has like some of the best action scenes in the MCU.
I love Winter Soldier, yeah.
Like the car chase, like Bucky using the knife, like the choreography is exquisite, and I think the Russo brothers absolutely nailed their Captain America movies.
Yeah, I love that scene where he's running through the walls and it's like practical effects and stuff. It's like fun stuff.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah, it's really engaging.
Civil War is so good though. Best Captain America movie ever.
Yeah, because it's like you've got the great action and, you know, compelling characters and stuff, but it's basically Avengers 2.5.
Yes.
So, like, and the airport scene is so much fun.
Oh God,
and
I
you could
love
just
it.
watch that on repeat, like.
Yeah, I like there's some.
I love the like the parallel to like when the two sides are charging at each other and it feels kind of empty.
Yeah.
Like the fight that then ensues is great, but I do love the parallel of coming back to Endgame when it's so full at that point where we've just got everybody. It's so nice to see basically the same shot just
packed loads,
fleshed out though. Fuck.
Yes.
Yeah.
That shot didn't look empty at the time though. Like I remember seeing that shot the first time and going,
yeah.
my God.
In this thing.
Like, just, yeah.
I thought the fight was great. I thought that shot looked sparse.
It does. It does. But we had never seen anything like that before.
Maybe it needed to be sparse to highlight it.
Maybe it's because of the environment in a sense.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it is an airport, like.
yeah, it's a pretty vacant airport. But Oh, like it's so good. Like Spider-Man stuff and it's brilliant. And like people are kind of saying like,
Yeah.
why are you talking so much to him? You know, it's like this is a
Yeah.
fight. You shouldn't be talking so much. You know, even Captain.
I don't know if you've been in a fight before, but there's usually not this much talking.
yeah. And even Iron Man saying to him like, you do exactly like we talk, kid. Like keep your distance and like shoot
Yeah.
webs or something. He doesn't want to get like too close because he's.
He also said, "Go for your legs."
Yeah. The like that Star Wars, that really old movie Star Wars, and it's just like, how old is this guy? It's so
Okay, I
good.
do have a bone to pick with that though. Like, Peter Parker is a nerd. There is no way he would refer to it. That really old movie, Empire Strikes Back, he refers to Hoth as the ice planet and the AT-ATs as walkie thingies, and I'm like, there is no way in hell that man and his friend Ned, they build Lego Death Stars.
They had a play date to build a giant Lego Death
they know
Star.
Hoth and AT-ATs. It's not rocket science, but they had to do that for maybe people who weren't as versed in Star Wars.
I
But
knew
I
it
was
was
like,
an-
that is not true to his character.
I knew it was an
Exactly.
AT-AT, you know, but I call them AT-ATs.
He had to dumb it down for Iron Man, basically.
Yeah.
Oh, he was trying to be cool.
Yeah.
He was trying to be like, I'm not this completely
Yeah.
into this. You know
Yeah.
those like old sci-fi movies that like.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
that old movie that I'm totally not
I
obsessed
see,
with.
I see.
You know,
I was gonna say like I love Star Wars movies and I couldn't tell you half of that stuff, but then I don't retain any information ever about anything.
Well,
Who was the co-star in Kiss Kiss Bang Bang with Val Kilmer?
Gay Perry.
I thought it was Michael Downey Jr.
It was Robert Dangerfield.
Okay.
Robert Downey
Really?
Sr. passed away.
That's why he don't follow people.
Yeah, I
Why do people care if you don't follow people? His dad died.
Why is he on Instagram unfollowing people? His dad died.
There are two types of people.
Maybe he was just like anybody who like these are all my friends I've worked with for the last 20 years. None of them have fucking said anything to me about my father dying. Fuck him. Unfollow.
Can we just do a little hop back and go, hey, did anybody ever watch Rover Dangerfield?
No, never. What is it?
I mean,
Yes,
no.
I did.
I'm
What-
just
what
trying to
even-
read Kev's
What
expression.
even is that? I'm intrigued.
So there's a stand-up comedian called Rodney Dangerfield who
He looks
was
like he's in Total Recall.
not really
on
child
Mars,
friendly.
and the pressure's affecting his face.
Okay, I have
Yeah.
a mental image now.
He was like what 60s 70s 80s 60s and 70s. He was a club comic. He was on the Tonight shows with Carson and stuff.
My
And
girl told me to come over. There's nobody home. I went over. There was nobody home.
He's excellent.
my wife was leaving me. I said, is there somebody else? She said, there's gotta be.
Yeah. I just flew in here and boy, my arms are tired.
Oh, that's him.
He's
Oh, okay.
he's that guy. And my parents bought me that like VHS in like the bargain basement fucking discount store of Arnott's when I was like 8, and it's Rodney Dangerfield as
Yeah.
a dog, and
It's
his
so good.
That's it.
that's
End of
pitch.
Yeah.
End of synopsis.
he's got a little tie. He does a little.
He's got a tie.
He does the whole thing.
It's very, very good. I enjoyed it when I was a kid. I did like it. I always associate it with Rock-a-Doo-da-Doo or something like that. Like I feel like
Yeah, that
yeah,
era
I
stuff.
feel like it might be the same company or Roddy Dangerfield had a bit in it. I don't know.
It's such a weird decision that like this club comic who is now aging into just walking around his own stand-up club in nothing but a bathrobe. Like in the later years of his life, comedians now talk about, yeah, we turn up to see Rodney and like he's not wearing shorts under that robe and he's on stage and he just turns a bit quickly and the whole room gets a good
Oh
look.
Jesus Christ! People are mad.
The danger
Like,
zone.
he didn't
Yeah.
care. He cleaned up so nicely to go on things like the Tonight Show, but he was like a messy individual.
Eddie Murphy did a same anecdote about him when he was doing the press run for Coming to America 2. He basically talked about how like one of the first times that Dangerfield had seen Eddie Murphy, and he kind of said something to the effect that I'm pretty sure it was Dangerfield anyway, but he said something to the effect like, and it was very early before Eddie Murphy had blown up, and he kind of saw him and he basically said, you're not going to get very far. You're kind of too vulgar, basically. And then a couple of years later, they're in the bathroom together, and it's after Eddie's the biggest thing in the world. I think after one of, or maybe both of his stand-up things, they're in the bathroom together, and they're kind of at the urinal, and Dangerfield just kind of goes up and he's doing his business and doesn't really acknowledge him, and just as he's zipping up, he just kind of gives him a look and he goes, who knew,
Very good.
Obviously, Murphy tells it a lot
Yes,
better.
but no, that's brilliant.
it's good.
Yeah. Great times, good animations. Yeah. Rover Dangerfield, not for kids, I'd imagine. Not particularly for kids. I watched it when I was like, I'm pretty sure we had
definitely
the video
was
as well.
though.
Pardon?
It was 100% for kids, but like it is like a Vegas showgirl's sleazy boyfriend doesn't like the dog, so she throws it off the Hoover Dam.
I do not remember any of the plot. How do
I
you
remember that.
And I watched it a lot.
I watched it a lot
on a
too,
Christmas
but-
tree. A Christmas tree is safe from me. Oh, what would Santa think of me if I did it on a Christmas
Enough.
tree? I know the songs.
He knows it way more.
And he ends up a city dog living on a farm, and he has to learn to live a simple life. And it's like, oh, this is. I don't know if this movie holds up at all, but I loved it as a kid.
Wow. Well, that was a roller coaster.
Sorry.
Yeah,
guys.
I've no that was interesting.
So you watched Civil War. That's the perfect segue to the film that happens immediately after Civil
Yeah.
War, The Black
It's,
Widow.
to be honest, it's such good timing because, like, we had to finish watching Civil War, but then like straight into Black Widow. Like, if it literally came out right at the moment that we'd have to watch it within the MCU, yeah, it's mental. Yeah,
And it's, before we even get into like wildly discussing it, I guess, I was thinking about it. Captain Marvel, for me, I think you need to watch to Infinity War and then go back and watch Captain Marvel.
Right.
Because there's enough nudge, wink, winks to the MCU that follows that are funny if you've watched them in that order, but are just
Because
weird.
Captain Marvel chronologically is
moments.
actually only second. Do you know, it goes the first
Yeah.
Avenger and then right
Yeah.
into Captain Marvel, which kind of feels
Yeah.
weird in the context of what you're watching.
But some of the, like, there are jokes or there are nods and winks towards what happens in other Avengers or
Yeah.
Marvel movies to come
Yeah.
that are nice little nods when you're like, oh, I know
Last
what's
time
coming.
I trusted
But
someone,
if
I
you-
lost an eye. Okay.
Exactly. And then when you see that happen and it's to a cat, it's like, that's funny. But if you, it's just a little bit more of a dead moment if you watch it in chronological order.
Because
This fits perfectly though, Black Widow.
yeah.
So I think that's going to be fine.
Which
Brian,
one
to-
comes first actually chronologically, Black Panther or Black Widow? Because I know that Black Panther happens fairly soon after Civil War,
so basically,
as does Homecoming actually.
I was going to say, so basically, as far as I'm aware, between Civil War and is it Endgame or whatever one is first, there's a bunch of movies
Infinity
that
War.
you can kind of watch
Yeah.
in any
Technically,
order.
Black Widow happens before the end of Civil War. If you think
before
about
the end.
Yeah,
of
he's
Civil
right.
War.
Yeah. You could almost that's so true actually because I read that you could almost
Yeah,
pause it at
that's
a
true.
moment, watch the Black Widow.
we've all seen it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, she
Okay,
she's
actually, then let's just do this for everybody. I know I flagged this up top that we talk wild about things, and this is spoiler-heavy conversation territory. We are now going to talk Black Widow to death.
Yeah.
So
She's
if you
already
haven't
dead.
seen it,
It's impossible. That's actually your
She's
first
already
big
dead.
spoiler. She's dead this whole time.
I'll just. This is at the very end, so we can then jump backwards. But when she gets the Quinjet at the end of the film, she's got to go
Yeah,
break
yeah.
out Falcon and everybody else.
With Cap.
So
Yeah.
so presumably Cap doesn't break them out by himself. So at the end of Civil War, where it's Tony Stark reading the letter that comes with the phone, and he's saying,
That's
you
true.
know, if you need me, I'll be there. And then it cuts to him walking out of the shadows in the raft.
Yeah.
So technically, Black Widow happens in between that because
Yeah.
Can you send me a time?
It's
Can
implied
you
that-
send me a time stamp of that, Brian? So when I'm watching Civil War, I can pause at that moment.
pause
Then I
it.
can watch. No, I'm serious. And then I'll
Oh,
watch.
okay.
Then I'll watch Black Widow, and then I'll resume it.
Wow. Well, technically,
Yeah, I
Black
mean,
Panther
you
would
could-
happen within that time too, because that's only like a couple of, like a week or so, or something after Civil War. And Black Widow, I mean,
do they have the funeral for
T'Chaka?
T'Chaka in Black Panther?
Black Panther is 2 weeks after, I think, Civil
Yeah.
War.
So,
2 weeks.
So it is actually after Civil War, but some of Black Widow happens before Civil War even ends. is the
so
thing.
I have.
No,
here
but I
my-
mean, but like by the time that Steve because like Black Widow seems to take place over some amount of time.
We
do you
don't
know,
know
what I mean?
when Steve went.
So like Black Panther happened after most of the events of Civil War, but did it happen before Steve broke them. I mean, I'm just being like, it doesn't matter in the slightest.
But
I'm just
what I'm
wondering-
saying is, you can watch Black Panther technically afterwards.
Yeah.
But the thing is,
because it's not
Black
connected
Widow
to the
happens
events.
before the end of Civil War
Yeah.
ends. We know that for certain because she's got to go fly off with Steve to save them, and that happens at the end of the film.
Yeah.
So
Yes, before the end of that movie.
all,
we don't know-
all of
we-
Black Widow happens before the Civil War movie ends.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
yes,
brilliant.
Yeah. We don't know when they go and break them out.
Yeah.
Like, that could be 8 months after.
Yeah.
Like, Robert Downey Jr. could get the letter, and then 8 months later they break them out of fucking prison.
Because by
But-
that time he had developed prosthetics for Rhodey to not be paralyzed anymore.
Yeah, the exoskeleton.
Yeah, there you go.
On the list,
Kev seems to have
on
something.
the list it says like it's Captain America: Civil War. Then technically Black Widow. I put that in there myself.
Yeah.
Spider-Man: Homecoming, Doctor Strange, Black Panther, Thor: Ragnarok, Ant-Man and the Wasp, and Infinity War.
Okay. Technically, Doctor Strange has to happen before Winter Soldier, though,
Spider-Man: Homecoming.
because
Hold
What?
on. Spider-Man:
he was a
Homecoming
target of Project
because
Insight.
Oh, you're
He was a target, but that doesn't mean it happens.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but he wouldn't
they
be
just
on the
know that he's
radar
gonna-
at all if he was just like.
Well, no, he would
some
because
doctor.
that's the potential that it had, is that it knows people that could become a threat in the future.
When he was
he
the
doesn't have
doctor,
to be
though.
Doctor Strange yet. Yeah,
Just
but
like,
that was the
that
idea
is
with
true.
Insight.
They were looking
Yeah.
at people as potential
It's like
threats.
that whole
Yes.
thing of like calling it before it actually even happens. It's
It was
Minority
essentially
Report,
predicting the
it's
future.
how
Minority
could it
Report.
predict though that he like? I mean,
Have
that's
you watched
fairly...
the documentary Minority Report and Person of Interest?
No.
A Dream of Chrome.
And
Yeah, no, but he's not yet Doctor Strange in.
Well, he is technically
Winter
Doctor
Soldier.
Strange. He's a doctor.
He's not the Sorcerer Supreme. Yeah,
Oh no, of course he's not the Sorcerer
Jeez,
Supreme.
Cree.
so
all
what's the
friends here.
suggestion? Well, look, he's as a surgeon, he is
Potential.
a potential security leak.
Yeah, I'm
or
struggling
No,
to
it's-
understand how they could
it's literally
possibly predict
predicting-
that he would become a sorcerer.
predicting the future.
it's predicting the future. Yeah,
I mean,
Well, listen, the ancient one knew
The 21st
Stephen
century
Strange was
handed
5 years
them
coming, and he's going to be the best
a
of us.
book. And Zola's algorithm taught them how to read it. It sums it up
You're
in two
right.
lines.
I've watched, what is it now? I've seen them all obviously, but I've watched basically 15 of these movies. Like, I think it's like only now I'm starting to piece together like the whole stone thing. But even then, like, it's just like,
I
let's
mean
just
paperweights.
Yes, exactly. Let's clarify a few things. I know this is like really going off of the topic of Black Widow.
We'll
But
come back.
so the first stone, right? How many stones is there altogether? It's like 7, right? 6.
Six.
That's right.
Six
That's
Infinity
what I said.
Stones. The first one we meet is the Tesseract
it.
with
This is
Captain
what-
That's the
America.
Space
The
Stone.
Red Skull pulls it out of the
So the
church.
Red Skull pulls it out of the church, right?
Mm-hmm.
How did it get to
Yep.
the church again?
Because it's like a Norse sort of burial. It was like Yggdrasil, which is the tree of life. It was kind of like around there, so it's like I'm presuming it was like a Norse thing, so that would tie up with Asgardians and
Yeah.
stuff.
So the Asgardians have
They placed it in an old Nordic church just to kind of allude, like the filmmakers are just trying to allude to what's coming in terms of Thor and Asgard.
Odin hid it there.
Yeah, well, ultimately it's going to come down to Odin.
Does that come up in the movies?
There is one of the Thor movies where is it Hell? Is it Kate Blanchett's Hell sees the Tesseract in
No, she sees the Infinity Gauntlet and calls it a fake.
and says fake?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
thought she was saying the Tesseract. Okay, take it back.
Okay, so
Yeah, the
I
gauntlet
was,
was fake.
I was going to say, so there's 6 of them, right?
Yeah.
The first one we come into contact with is in Captain America, technically.
Yeah.
The first Avenger, and it's Red Skull discovers it in a church.
Mm-hmm.
And he uses that then to create all this super technology for Hydra.
Yeah.
Yes.
How did they get that kind of technology? They just harness power from the Tesseract and were able to get the technology, or there was alien influence, or are we just admit this? It's like it's sci-fi Nazi
Science fiction.
I mean,
sci-fi
you're
Nazi
supposed to be like,
scientists.
oh, they're geniuses. if they...
It's a cult sci-fi
Yeah,
stuff.
okay. I can deal with that. Just 1 second.
Yeah, we are to accept that Hydra's science division at that point is advanced enough to take a power source of that level and
Yeah.
Okay,
direct it.
so that's the first one.
Because it's like Howard Stark
Okay.
was on to creating a new element, but he was limited by the technology of his time. It's that kind of thing. Like, if he had been able to, it's like I suppose what they're trying to say is like Hydra, if they were able to, if they had access to this amazing power source, they would be able to then create weapons of that magnitude.
Yeah, okay, fair. So that's the first one. And then I just want to... So the Tesseract then is taken by Loki in Avengers, because that's when he takes Clint and puts him under a spell. That's when he takes the scientist guy, puts him under a spell.
Yeah.
That's because they gave him the Mind Stone.
Yeah.
And the Mind Stone is
Scepter.
It's in the scepter. Yeah.
That was given to him by Thanos.
Okay. So Thanos gave him the
use.
scepter. So it was like Ronan the Accuser was going to get the stone off Peter Quill, and give it to Thanos, so Thanos would destroy a planet. But then Ronan was just like, I can use this myself. And then in the Thanos and Loki thing, Thanos gave Loki the scepter with the Mind Stone.
Yeah.
Was it their plan to? Wasn't it Loki's plan to the Avengers to take it, because he was going to unleash the Hulk then? Was it Loki's plan for the Avengers to essentially imprison him and take the scepter, because he was good at...
Yeah, it's kind of implied that he's influencing him.
Yes. Okay. Anyway, so the Tesseract gets then the Tesseract is frozen with Captain America.
That's at the end of Captain America, but the Tesseract exists in Avengers.
Well, I think it was in the bottom of the ocean,
it's in
actually,
Captain Marvel.
that Howard Stark took it out. He fished it out of the ocean.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then it lives in that New Jersey base for 50 years.
And then it's in their possession in Captain Marvel, because they're using it then to try develop the spaceship.
Yeah, okay. So Tesseract is the first one, and then the second stone we see is the Mind Stone with Loki, right?
Yeah. And then the reality.
And then the next one technically is, I don't know, it could be the reality stone. I don't know the name of it. Sorry, Cree, but is it the one that's in Thor 2, the black?
Yeah,
the
that's the reality
that's
one.
the
Yeah,
reality
sorry,
one,
yeah.
The ether.
The ether one, the dark ether one. Yeah. So that's the third one that we see technically at this point.
Yeah.
And then the fourth one
Power.
we see is the Power Stone, and
then
that's in
time.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
So then they use the Mind Stone from Loki's
Create Vision.
Yeah, from the
scepter.
Scepter, yeah.
But it's already given the twins the powers. It's just different.
It's already given the twins the powers, yes.
Yeah.
And then whenever they get the scepter, or Thanos gets the scepter, gives it to Loki, and then they use it. The Avengers have it, and they use it to create Vision.
Yeah.
And then that's pretty much it. Up until like
Doctor Strange
Yeah.
has the Time Stone.
In the Eye of Agamotto.
The Sorcerer Supreme has the
so,
Time
how many
Stone.
stones is that now?
And then
That's
that's
five.
five.
And then,
And then the
we,
Soul
we
Stone
were
is
never
on four
introduced. Yeah, we were only introduced to the Soul Stone in Infinity.
And that's the one that Red Skull is protecting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
what's the one that you said Doctor Strange has?
The Time Stone.
Time.
Time Stone. And how does he get that? He gets that from Tilda
The
Swinton.
angel.
The sorcerers
Yeah.
have it. They're in possession.
Tilda Swinton has it in Scotland.
Taylor
To this
Swift
day.
has it in Scotland.
Yes, Taylor Swift has it. Yes, but she can protect it. She's a strong woman who can battle exes with her songs and her melodies.
Yeah.
Taylor Swift, she's great music.
She's got
for a
bad
breakup.
blood.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I got lost in our Tilda Swinton. She's got bad blood. Okay.
My bad blood.
Uh,
I actually love this song. Shake it, shake it. Not the
Shake
not
it
the,
off,
not the,
but yeah.
Shake it off. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, and you just sang
yeah. I
me,
know. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I always do that.
So that's
Black
our
Widow.
Yes.
that's our Infinity Stone roundup.
That's our Black Widow review.
and then also
Moving on.
Loki, obviously.
And as we discovered, the TVA uses hundreds of them
Yeah.
as paperweights.
Yes. Black Widow.
Black Widow opens with 1995. We meet a family of sleeper cell Russian agents in the middle of Ohio.
Yeah.
David Harbour, Rachel Weisz. We have two children that are clearly Natasha and Yelena, who is Scarlett Johansson and Florence Pugh.
Mila Jovovich's
Yeah.
daughter.
It looks like Mila
Yeah,
Jovovich.
for
Yeah,
Natasha.
yeah,
Yeah.
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 Identical.
Identical and kind of, like no badness to her. she's a great actress or whatever. Actor. I was happy we didn't see more of them.
The kids.
You were happy you
Yeah.
didn't see more of them?
I thought they were great,
Oh, okay.
personally.
They were good.
you know.
It just did what they needed to
Yeah.
do with them, I suppose. The Natasha kid did a great job of, like, when she got that gun and she
Yeah.
like tucks Elena behind her and does the like covering.
Yeah, she's like a cornered
that was
animal.
very
It was
nice.
really powerful.
Should we say overall if we liked it or not first?
Sure.
Yeah.
I thought it was freaking awesome. Parts I change or parts that.
Hold on. Let's see if Brian for last.
Yeah, Brian for that.
I really
I'm
enjoyed it.
Very impressionable.
Kevin thought it was freaking awesome.
I really enjoyed it as well. I mean, I dyed my hair red specifically for Black Widow coming out, so I was very excited, and yeah, it was definitely enjoyable.
Is this a nerd podcast?
Kevin just realised he's pushing this on his work platform and he might need to walk that back a bit.
Is it not a nerd? How is it?
Are we nerds?
I mean,
Yeah.
we spent the last few minutes talking about like the chronological order of the Infinity Stones,
the stones.
like being introduced to us in the MCU. So I think
Yeah.
that qualifies us.
I knew. By the way, I knew all of that stuff already. I was just doing it for listeners.
Yeah.
You're testing
Yeah,
us,
yeah.
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 Brian, did you enjoy the Black Widow?
I liked it. Yep.
Wow.
Fucking. I'm gonna put a sound in there. Brian liked a thing. 16 episodes in.
Officially, that makes it the best movie in the MCU.
Cree, you liked it. You dyed your hair red for it. You're all for it.
Well, I dyed my hair red before it even came out, but in anticipation for it.
In anticipation for it, I got a scraggly beard, went a bit grey, and gained 10
David
pounds
Harbour, ladies and gentlemen.
in honour of the Red
Yeah,
Guardian.
my friend said I look like David Harbour. It's just
Got a gold tooth.
It's just why would you
Don's
say
a
that?
Russian accent.
Awful.
So we all enjoyed it.
Yes.
That's great.
Yeah.
2-year Marvel film drought.
Yeah. And it's, I mean, this film, this goes without saying, but it was so long overdue. So I'm
Yeah.
still a bit pissed off at Marvel for that, but it was good.
Better late than never, right?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. To a degree.
So we see the Russian family extracted from their cover. They fly to Cuba,
Yeah.
where they meet Ray Winston.
Oh yeah, Ray Winston. I had no idea who's in this. I actually didn't watch any trailers.
Ray Winston, David Harbour, Rachel Weisz, Scarlett Johansson, Florence Pugh.
The young Scarlett Johansson.
The amount of people putting on Russian
I
accents
know. Yeah.
is pretty good.
It's some less successful than others.
Ray
Yeah.
Winston, he's Ray Winston. You know, he
Yeah.
Well, he's been
tried.
living, so many different identities. It's
This
probably
is-
hard for him. He's kind of constantly switching.
These are Russian agents that have perfect American spoken
Yeah.
English when they're speaking English.
Yeah.
Except for later when they're speaking English with a Russian accent.
I thought Florence Pugh was fairly believable. I mean, I don't know a lot of Russian people, so I can't say it was absolutely perfect, but she didn't drop it, I don't think.
I don't know like kind of where exactly they're going with this character, because initially when I went in I thought like Florence Pugh was going to be like the next Black Widow and stuff,
Yeah.
essentially taking that over. She's so badass.
Yeah.
She
She
so
stole the show.
badass. She's so like, even that first thing where she's fighting that the older widow agent that
Yeah.
has the kind of antidote and stuff, and like she's fighting her and stuff. It's just like you watch Chris Evans, you watch all these type of people
She
like,
fought dirty.
but it's just like I actually think she could like kick my ass in real life, like as in like
Well,
she
duh.
looks.
I mean,
she
no
looks-
offense, but-
Well, most people could. To be fair, I'm not going to fight them back. But I'm just saying, like, kind of like
But she
you
is,
see,
like, a
like
trained
Chris
assassin,
Hemsworth and
so,
Chris
yeah.
Evans, and it's impressive because they're muscly and stuff. But she, like, kind of actually looks like somebody, like the way she was fighting it. It's just like, oh, she looks so fucking badass. She looked strong, you know.
Well,
You know who else has great physicality in the film? And I'm jumping ahead.
David Harbour.
But Olga Kurylenko.
Oh well, yeah.
She's
Yeah,
great.
I don't know who she is, but I did call that actually. I know who she is now. I don't know who she is actually. I just know she played that one person in that movie that we just watched.
Do we? I'd have to go back and have a look at like.
Taskmaster.
Yeah, see, I'm trying to figure out how we should structure this conversation to let's just go fucking nuts with it.
Yeah.
Taskmaster is this villainous character that we see being putting all the widows through
Yeah.
their paces, and
I feel like
I
more
called
could
him.
have been done
we
with
do get
Taskmaster.
a reveal later on that is Olga
Did you see?
Kurylenko when she takes
Did
the
you see
helmet
that
off.
coming?
Yeah.
Yeah. The minute they mentioned the daughter and the explosion, I was like, oh, it's gonna be
I wouldn't say the minute. I'd say like half.
See, I'm lucky.
No,
I
it
have
was
this
the minute.
amazing ability to like shut off the screenwriter in me when I'm
That's
watching a
fair.
movie, and I just
Yep.
I don't let myself predict anything. So I actually was kind of surprised, but it wasn't like a oh my god. I was like, oh okay, you know.
Yeah, fair. Yeah.
Because
Florence Pugh has had a good run over the last couple of
Yeah.
years.
Oh, I don't know what I saw her in. I'm sure I've seen her in
she
stuff.
was in Fighting with My Family. She was in
Oh,
Midsummer.
okay,
and-
okay, awesome.
Oh,
You
I'm
beat me
sorry.
to it. I was
and
about to-
also Little Women, she played Amy, and she actually made people really like Amy, which is super hard. And she was probably the best one.
I was about to say people know
I
Florence
said
Pugh
Midsummer.
from Little Women, Midsummer, King Lear, Lady Macbeth.
Fighting with My Family.
But I think everybody
Yeah.
needs to go and watch the Stephen Merchant,
Directed.
Paige the Wrestler
Yeah.
biopic, Fighting with My Family.
Isn't Nick Frost
very
in
good.
that? He's her dad, isn't he?
Yeah, Nick Frost is her father in it.
Yeah.
Nick
Rock
Frost
makes
is
a
the
cameo.
father, Lena Headey's
The
the
Rock
mother.
makes a cameo in it.
Yeah, he does.
The Rock produced the
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
Steve Merchant. Yeah, but okay, that's what she's brilliant at that. Yeah, okay, so she's great. She's brilliant, and she was brilliant in this.
Yeah, she has this great she's got charisma, she's funny, she's charming, she's badass when she needs to be, but she's also amazing at vulnerability. Which I wouldn't have expected from that character. I would have expected them all to be kind of like Natasha, really, really reserved and stuff. But she totally brought me into Yelena's plight, and I felt so bad for her. But she just brought it to life.
She did a great job of showing you the 5-year-old
Yeah.
girl who got pulled out of her.
Yeah, that's
home
what
at the
it.
same
Yeah,
time.
she was quite childlike for an assassin. It was because she never really grew up properly. None of them did. But yeah, she still had that childlike, innocence, and kind of optimism, weirdly, which you wouldn't have expected. I thought she was phenomenal.
So they arrive in Cuba and are immediately separated from one another. David Harbour's undercover father is desperate to get back to his role as the Red Guardian. Rachel Weisz is taken off. She'd been injured in the escape, and the two kids are grabbed off into training in the Red Room through opening credit montage to a cover of
Teen
Smells
Spirit.
Like...
Yeah, it
No,
is,
it's not
yeah.
Yeah, it
Smells
is.
Like
Yeah,
Teen Spirit, is it?
yeah.
It is, okay.
They censored apparently the word libido for some reason.
It is
censored the
triggering.
word
It is
libido.
triggering, to be fair.
You're watching a movie about assassins. I don't think it needs to be censored. I thought the opening credits
In the
were,
next scene, Yelena sticks a knife
I
in a
know.
woman's gut.
Yeah,
twists
and
I
drags
literally
it
saw
right
that, I was
out
like-
as well.
It's a meta commentary on how their womanhood is removed from a young age, so that's why they removed the word libido. None of that's true. I'm talking absolute nonsense. It's insane that they would censor a
their
word.
womanhood wasn't exactly
They're allowed.
snatched, but
Potentially, the word could be triggering for people. I'd imagine that's why they censored it. So
Yeah.
that's just the way it goes, right?
I
No.
also think that the opening credits were they automatically established that this isn't your typical MCU movie, because typically MCU credits, right, they're at the end and it's all to really heroic music.
I was thinking
So
that.
it
Yeah, we
definitely
haven't seen these kind of credits in Spider-Man and Sam Raimi and stuff.
Yeah, so I thought it was really good, and it's set up like a darker vibe than we're used to in the MCU, much
Yeah.
darker. And I appreciated
I
that.
was unsure about them because I guess given the fact that I was watching it on my TV, I felt that these credits put me in mind of a television show. It made
Right.
me feel like I'm at a HBO TV series watching this opening sequence, rather than when you think about it, Endgame
Yeah.
or Infinity Wars and Avengers. You've got a big action sequence, the title of the movie comes up on screen, and we get going.
I think for this movie though, we
know?
kind of needed to ease into Natasha's mental frame of and show, because it was basically a montage. The credits served as a montage for Natasha growing up. So I think
Yep.
it actually, personally, I think it worked. Especially coming from the scene where we've been introduced to her younger self, we've empathized with her, and so I mean, narratively, it made sense for me, and I thought it worked.
Post credits, we meet Scarlett Johansson's Natasha Romanoff on the run from William Hurt. We established that this is now mid or post Civil War. William Hurt quietly just ticking his way through the MCU for the last 10 years.
He looked a little bit, and I don't want to say this in a bad way, but like because they did mention like, oh, how you sit here, you know, triple bypass, blah blah blah, you know, and like, is he okay?
Yeah, he did.
I think they're setting up a Red Hulk storyline.
Okay, because he looked a little bit unwell, but like at the same time,
I think that's intentional.
I was going to say at the same time, I was
idea
just like, is that like CGI or something? Because it's like,
I was
why?
kind of
like,
wondering that myself. Yeah.
I didn't want to say like it's like kind of like say if the man's unwell or whatever, that's completely fine and stuff, you know.
Yeah.
Like as in like God bless him, whatever. But if they're doing it like, but when I saw it, it's just kind of like, oh, he looks unwell, but a part of it kind of almost looks computer generated or something. It was a little bit funny looking.
You think we're going to get Thunderbolt Ross's Red Hulk?
Yep.
You heard it here first, folks. Hot take with Brian.
I love how they absolutely just pretend that Betty doesn't exist anymore.
Oh, poor Bay.
Like,
Bring back poor Bay.
For now.
because if they do a Red Hulk storyline, that's going to go into like, I mean, she should at least be mentioned because like she exists.
Yeah,
in his
if we
life.
start digging into William Hurt's character,
Yeah.
we're gonna see a story.
Or would they, so does that mean like, cause like when I was watching it, I wasn't necessarily thinking Red Hulk. I was thinking Thunderbolts.
Yeah, both.
Oh, both.
But we have Contessa Valentina de Jib Jab shows up at the end of this movie.
I was not expecting that.
No, neither was I.
Who?
Val.
Oh, you weren't expecting her in this movie.
Personally, no. I mean, I wasn't sure if they were going to tie in like someone who appeared in.
I thought that was the
Falcon and
whole.
Winter
I thought
Soldier
that
for cutscene.
Yeah, I thought that somebody had said that already. That like basically that she is definitely going to be in Black Widow.
I hadn't seen that,
I
so
thought
I was
Brian said
actually
it.
pleasantly surprised.
She's definitely doing she's
Nick
Nick
Fury.
Fury.
Yeah,
Yep. She's the morally grey,
or morally
She's the
purple,
baddie Nick Fury.
bad Nick Fury.
just like Thanos. And the fact that Yelena is like working for her as well, I was like, no. And then it was like, oh, go kill Clint Barton. I was like, no, what? This is so she's probably going to show up in Hawkeye then, Yelena.
Natasha's on the run. We see Yelena as part of an attack squad of widows trying to take out an escaped widow. She gets doused with a drug that breaks the mind control. Jiggery pokery. Then we go back to Norway and Scarlett's watching a James Bond movie in a camper van.
Yeah.
And Taskmaster comes after her. That was an odd moment though, wasn't it? That like all of a
guy
sudden
that-
those vials are in the back of her truck.
Well, you see, the guy
Yeah.
that she was meeting had taken stuff from this safe house in Budapest,
Budapest?
and
Pest.
then
There's the whole
no,
there's
Pest.
the whole thing.
There's
Yeah,
this
he's
scene in the
referencing
movie
it.
where they talk about. Oh, yeah. I'm dumb. I
What?
don't know what Creed's
I
excuse
said
is.
Pest.
I said I'm. No, but
Oh,
we both
okay,
didn't
fair,
realize
yeah.
Aiden was doing a bit.
No, I wasn't. I wasn't. I
Did you
didn't.
realize he
I
was doing
think
a
the
bit?
problem might be with my bit.
No, I didn't realize.
Anyway.
Get your
No,
bit checked in.
no, it's definitely my fault. No, like because they sent stuff from the safe house in Budapest, and he had gotten it, and the Taskmaster wasn't interested in Scarlett
Yeah.
Johansson at all. It was just the fact that she had the vials.
Yes.
I actually really like that they showed Natasha watching movies and being like a just a normal person, because we hadn't seen that at all. She's always been in superhero mode. She's always been in glamorous mode, and so to see her on the run, we got to see a different side to her character, and I really appreciated that. And also, we get to see that she probably does watch a fair amount of movies. I mean, you wouldn't think so, growing up in the Red Room and then going to work for S.H.I.E.L.D., you wouldn't think you've got a lot of downtime. But she referenced War Games in The Winter Soldier, so she does definitely like that. So that was a good shout, I suppose.
Like if we're to overthink it like nerds on our nerd
point.
podcast,
It's not
This
do you
is
see
neither
the
the time
montage?
nor the place
Culture.
for that. Kind of
we
thing.
see the montage in the Red Room where the children are made to watch American culture
Yeah.
and ingrain it into themselves. Like it's almost like post-traumatic conditioning.
Yeah.
Like she watches culture and absorbs it to better fit in.
Yeah. Yeah, because she does. Yeah, because she is even. Yeah, but that's a good point because she does kind of recite one of the lines.
Oh, she's saying it word for word through the whole movie. Well, in that scene we see her. She says every line.
Yeah.
Maybe it's funny that it's spy movies now.
No, but I was referencing War Games from Winter Soldier, though. She's like, shall we play a game? Which means she's into pop culture. That's what I was saying.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah,
I
yeah.
haven't seen War Games.
Me neither, but I know it's from War Games.
The guy that she is helping her out.
I can't even remember.
Do we know
his
who
name
he is, or he's just there?
So he's listed as a character called Mason.
Right.
He's sleeping most of it. Half of his appearance is
Pretty
him
much.
sleeping. Why is he sleeping outside beside a multi-million-dollar jet? And how does she not see the jet walking?
Is he going to be a kind of fixer for Lady Val's Dark Avengers team?
Yes.
Okay. I think we're going to see a bunch more of him then.
Yeah.
Interesting.
After she gets attacked by the Taskmaster, she goes to Budapest to find out why this stuff arrived at her doors, where she meets Yelena. Did you want to correct the pronunciation there?
I stopped myself. I was like,
It's not
just
Milena.
stop me.
Yelena with a Y. There's a fighty scene,
Yeah, that was cool.
and then
It was a good fight.
That was a great scene. It was a good fight.
I like that they showed like Yelena's desperation, like Natasha's sort of streamlined, sort of sleek approach to sort of, she's like stay down and stuff, and then Yelena is like more desperate, and she like smashes a plate over her head and grabs a knife. I thought that was a good parallel.
Yeah, rough and ready kind of approach. Yeah.
We established that the Black Widows and the Red Room are still active. They decide they need more information, so they go to rescue their father, the Red Guardian, who for some reason has been imprisoned for the rest of the time. What did you guys think of David Harbour's Red Guardian?
Oh yeah, look, it was fun. I
comic
wish there was
relief.
to be honest. Yeah, I wish there was kind of.
I thought
bit
the
more of
humor
him, to be
in
honest.
the film was very clunky. I don't think it quite landed. It didn't find a balance. It kind of interrupted a lot of the drama. That scene at the dinner table was like, is this supposed to be? I know it's supposed to be kind of awkwardly funny, but they're also trying to progress the plot at the same time. And Harbour is he's just comic relief. He's not. He's comic relief.
Personally, I really enjoyed his performance. I was looking forward to seeing him in this actually because, I mean, I'm a Stranger Things fan and he's fab in that. But I thought it was very interesting that he's in Russia. He's also in Russia in the trailer for Stranger Things season 4, and then
he's
also
dead. He's dead. He died at the end of
but
season
they're
3.
bringing him back. He's in Russia.
No, he's dead.
Okay.
He died.
But the fact that he's playing a Russian character called Alexei as well, because that was a character in Stranger Things season 3. I just thought that was funny. He actually said, for Stranger Things, he was like, I'm playing this Russian dude with a beard in Black Widow, so you're gonna have to like make me look different because Hopper on Stranger Things has a beard and looks a bit like scruffy as well, so they shaved him and stuff to make it look a little bit different because it's just the parallel was like very similar. Yeah,
That's hilarious.
It's a little too close.
He had Karl Marx tattooed on his fingers.
I would have liked Red Guardian to get a cool. I mean, I guess he flings the shield in the back of the helicopter. He's a bit of like, as super soldiers go, like he has trouble getting up to that gantry.
For me, the film kind of fell apart a bit after Natasha and Yelena get together. Up until that point, I think it's very
strong,
solid. It's propelling forward, and then once they decide they need to bust their dad out and the breakout,
it
that
felt
scene,
a little bit disjointed from the rest of the movie or something.
it's very disjointed, yeah. And like that scene is the start of it.
It's like,
that,
oh, this is an MCU movie. Okay, I get it. Yeah.
I thought this was going to be like a cool breakout scene that I thought it was going to be this great set piece because they'd set him up at the, when he's arm wrestling everybody else, and it's like, oh, cool, we're he's kind of a joke, but we're also going to get to see him in
That
action.
could have been
and
better
then
executed, that scene for sure.
That whole sequence was so stop-start. And then they go meet Melina, and again, like that dinner table scene is trying to be awkwardly funny, but it's also trying to fill us in on the plot. And again, it's just like, it's jumping. I'm like, I'm feeling sorry for Yelena, but I am also kind of wondering, but where is this going next? Like, what's happening? And it's very disjointed.
An interesting thing though, like I see what you're saying about the pacing, and there was definitely, like, for me, the movie didn't like 100% work, which was a little disappointing, but overall I enjoyed it. But that dinner scene,
I did enjoy it, but I think that's That's where I would
Yeah,
pinpoint the start of the problems.
But that I do, and I agree with that. But actually, something that I found interesting about the dinner scene was the awkwardness. It was actually quite poignant because they were all. It's like they've all been like indoctrinated, right? And they don't really know how a family works. So seeing them kind of try was a little bit heartwarming, you know, even though it's like completely
and if it had just
dysfunctional.
That's the thing. If it had just stayed with that, I think it would have worked better. But it was trying to accomplish 3 different things in that moment, and it would have been better if it just showed them struggle to be a family instead of let's try to be funny, but let's also show them this is the first time they've seen each other in 30 odd years,
21 years, I think it is.
It was trying to do too much.
Yeah.
In kind of one moment.
The interesting sort of dynamic of like Melina, Rachel Weisz's character, is kind of detached from what happened, but David Harbour is convincing himself that it's normal.
Yeah.
And is proud of everything. The moment where they get out of the helicopter and they're just like, you have toppled empires, you have killed so many people, your ledgers must be running red with blood.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so proud of you. I liked that moment.
It's like, oh, he's trying. That's heartwarming.
I think the helicopter dropping out of the sky for the little landing before that, I think that was a nice idea, but it didn't quite work. You know, like if it was a cartoon, you'd have hit that with a lot more like dunk, and they couldn't do that and have you believe they survived in that moment. You know,
I actually really like that. I kind of laughed out loud.
The helicopter drop.
I thought it was good.
I liked the idea that the Red Room was a helicarrier. I kind of didn't see that coming.
I don't know, like I had enjoyed the movie up until that point, and like, you know, when it was good, it was really good, and I liked the kind of dark vibe that it was going for, that was set up in the credits, you know, and you know, with Yelena and Natasha. I just kind of maybe it was like a little bit limited because it was in the MCU, because then the big action scenes like the prison breakout and the stuff in the Red Room, it just felt a bit like we have to establish that this is an MCU movie, so make it big, make it theatrical. And I don't know, for me, it just didn't really fit with what had been set up already so much. I don't know if you guys felt that too.
Yeah, I think I could have done with a smaller story, you know, a little more personal than like catastrophic explosion.
Yeah.
The monologuing with Ray Winston was pretty huge.
Yeah.
Can you stop yourself smelling by hitting yourself in the head?
I mean, I don't want to test that theory out.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Can you do it with that accuracy? No.
Would you bet your life
say,
on your ability to convince your enemy to punch you in the head?
It's
to stop
here,
you
is it?
smelling?
Yeah.
I mean, she did then end up doing it herself because he didn't end up punching her. So.
Yeah, but I watched that and went, it's like
I don't think that's the film's biggest problem.
I know, but it's like there's like a 2% chance that works and a 98% chance you knock yourself unconscious.
Yeah.
I just think it's kind of funny that, like, you know, that kind of reveal of the whole like Natasha killing Ray Winston's daughter and kind of just being like, it was collateral damage. Like, I'm not proud of it, but it's collateral damage and stuff. I love the fact that we're meant to be like kind of, it's like when she said that, I kind of like, I was just like, oh, kind of whatever. And then I think I realized, say, during a little bit later in the movie, it's like, oh, Taskmaster's clearly the daughter, you know. But I just thought it was funny because it's like we're meant to kind of be, it's like kind of like, it's like, you know, no way could she kill a child and just be like, it's collateral damage, that's awful. But creating a serial killer super assassin, like that's fine. Like, but God, you couldn't kill a child as collateral damage to, like, you know, it's like the ends justify the means. It's like, oh God, like you kill a child, that's tragic, but you got rid of this guy who was killing tons of kids and abusing children, you know. But it's just like kind of like, it's like but you kill a child, that's awful. But it's like, but it's completely fine to create like a super serial killer assassin person. It's like, oh, phew, they're not dead, they're just now a super assassin that's killed hundreds of people, and we're okay with that.
I know I'm picking on that like smelly nose moment, but like, you're wearing a holographic mask that flawlessly recreates another human being. Nose plugs? Something just...
Yeah. And I was also thinking, like, what if during her, you know, time... I mean, she's obviously faced, like, hundreds of adversaries, if not, like, I don't know how many. But, like, what if she came into contact with someone with similar pheromones? Do you know what I mean? Like, would that have stopped? Because, like, I don't know how accurate that pheromone, like, technology and the chip is or whatever, but, like, if she smelled someone that smelled similar, like, pheromone to him, like, she would have.
Yeah.
I know, this is just, like, complete, like, off topic, but I just thought of that when I saw it. I was like, oh,
I
that's
get you.
interesting.
The Taskmaster then finally, on the Red Room helicarrier, the Taskmaster is revealed to be Ray Winston's daughter. The helmet comes off and it's Olga Kurylenko.
Is she a UFC fighter?
Is she of what?
A UFC fighter?
No.
No, she's
She's
a model.
in Oblivion,
She-
Quantum of
she's a
Solace. She's in some
Oblivion.
Roman, the Centurion. She popped up in... I kind of knew her, or she became on my radar with Quantum of Solace, and then she kind of just would pop up occasionally, and I kind of had her in this sort of like actress category of like, she's getting work, but it's not really great. But then she's in Oblivion as well, and I saw her in Death to Stalin, and I started going, oh, she's actually making interesting choices, or trying to make interesting choices, so I'm kind of
Yeah, I
rooting for
realized
her.
that I recognized
know?
her from Oblivion. Personally, I thought that movie was not super.
I love that film. It's a great film.
Olga, I'm just Googling the Olga because I actually don't recognize her from anything. And when you said she was a model,
Yeah, she was a model. She was a model turned actress, I think, as far as I know.
okay, because I don't
She's
really
quite tall.
recognize her from anything.
So she's got good physical presence.
I've seen Quantum of Solace, or Solace, whatever you want to call it. I don't think I've seen her. Oh, I've seen Seven Psychopaths. Apparently she's in that.
She's in that. She gets shot.
Oh God, that's awful. Some of the movie, like I like the movie.
Yeah, I loved the family dynamic.
Like it was
for sure. I think that was very strong,
Yeah,
and the casting
yeah.
was on point. I felt.
Rachel Weisz. Did they put makeup on her to make her look older?
I mean, I don't know.
Don't think
Like,
so.
I mean,
I think she's in her.
I think she looks
She's
good.
in her
I think
50s now. I
She
think,
probably
yeah.
is. Yeah, I think she looks great. Anyways, like I really like her. And
She's
I was,
gorgeous.
I was pumped to have her in this movie. I always associated her with just good acting and good movies. You know, that kind of way. But I don't know. Maybe they just made her look a little bit more kind of like because she's living in remotely.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like maybe they undermade her. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to sound bad.
I think that was a good
but I
thing
just-
about the movie was that finally we didn't like the women weren't sexualized and they weren't like wearing a lot of makeup because I was like, I mean, you know, Natasha's on the run, she's not going to be making her face up every day, and I appreciated that about the movie. It wasn't glamorous, you know, and even Yelena making kind of poking fun at, you know, how Black Widow sticks her landings and it's all like stylish and stuff. I was like, yeah, that's true, because if you're really a spy you wouldn't really care about the theatrics of it, you know.
Yes, yeah. No, 100%. And I think like kind of Scarlett Johansson was probably like the person made up the most of it, and everybody else took a bit more of a kind of realistic approach to a degree, you know, because I saw a still of Scarlett Johansson and I almost didn't recognize her.
From the movie?
From the movie. I
Really?
almost didn't
Wow.
recognize her. Yeah. I'll send it to you later. Yeah, I almost didn't recognize her. She just looked quite different, you know. But yeah, I thought everybody in it was great though, to be fair, you know. And I loved the bit of like kind of like one of the big ones. What do you mean one of the big ones? Like, you know, like the
Oh, yeah,
space
wizards,
god
androids,
from
and
space
aliens.
or something. yeah. And then she says like, you know, I bet you they're not taking ibuprofen
Yeah.
after a fight. You know, and it's just funny because it's like, yeah, Scarlett, like kind of you are an Avenger, but you're a
Yeah.
human Avenger, you know, that has the least, like, you know, obviously like Iron Man, War Machine, like kind of being two humans without
They've
powers.
all got
in the
like
Avengers.
mad tech
Clinton's,
that helps them. Yeah.
yeah, they have mad tech, like because like Hawkeye and Black Widow are
Yeah.
both very.
That's
human.
what I appreciate about them. And I could see through this movie how her relationship with Clint was so important, because she was like, he was probably like the first person to show her mercy and like kindness, you know, so I could totally see how that bond would have been really strong.
Were any of you a little bit disappointed that it wasn't a movie? Because you know when they talk about Budapest
Yeah.
before,
That-
were any of you like disappointed that it wasn't kind of like, no, I'm happy it was a Black Widow
Yeah.
movie and that's great and stuff, but I was kind of like, it's like, oh, I would have liked to have seen like kind of what that
Yeah.
was in reference to. You know, I'm happy with the Black Widow movie they did, and obviously moving forward with Pew and stuff, it's going to be great. But it's just like, I thought if they were ever going to do one, that they'd do something based on that little reference.
Well,
you know?
I think that the whole thing was that it was Clint and her that took down the Red Room, and that was her defection to Shield. So I think that was Budapest was just explained with exposition rather than like a flashback or something.
Fair,
But I actually we haven't actually seen in the big scheme of the MCU, we haven't actually seen a huge amount with Natasha and Clint. So compared to other characters. So I think it could have been. I mean, I know they can't do that now. She's dead. She's had her movie and stuff. But I wouldn't actually say no to a Hawkeye and Black Widow movie. But obviously, they can't go from that from here. But yeah, they're a good team up.
Why do you think she is going to go after like Hawkeye? You said you think it's going to obviously tie in with the TV show.
Maybe.
But like Hawkeye's not responsible for Black Widow's death at all. So why is this person manipulating?
They want the Avengers out of the way.
For what?
World domination.
To set up their own thing.
So they have John Walker and Black Widow, new Black Widow. Are we going to call it Black Widow?
I don't know. I just say Yelena.
Black Widow, I think. Yeah.
What do you say, Cree?
Green vest lady.
Green vest lady.
No, Yelena.
Okay.
Yelena.
She doesn't have a green vest anymore.
But that's what I associate with her character.
Because what Pugh?
Florence Pugh?
What's her first name?
Yeah.
Florence Pugh. Oh, Pugh. I can
Pew
say
Pew.
that. That's fine.
That's what she's like when she's Black
That's a
Widow.
word I can pronounce. Oh, okay, very good. Pew Pew. Yeah. Florence Pugh Pew. Yeah. But yeah, like kind of like it's. I suppose like it's just it was a little bit disappointing that like kind of it was a little bit disappointing that the end scene wasn't more like because like basically like we after watching this first solo Black Widow movie, and at the cutscene featuring her grave wasn't sadder and more about her being dead.
It kind of undercut the moment, Val being there, because it was really sad, and Yelena, touching her head to the gravestone, that was really poignant. And they could have left it there, but I mean they have to set up things. But it was.
Do you kind of feel like obviously if it's a post-credit scene, I was kind of waiting for something to happen, so I wasn't really like hugely invested in the kind of somber, sad, emotional side of her visiting her sister's grave, But I feel like that's only because like it was a post-credit scene, and I was kind of waiting for some sort of dun, dun,
if
dun,
they had put that in maybe earlier or something, maybe.
Yeah, if it had ended with her at the grave,
and then the cutscene,
and then came back to it,
I think that would have worked better.
Yeah. That's actually that would have been better. Yeah, because I kind of didn't get that moment that I know that kind of sounds funny,
especially when they break it up by her blowing her nose obnoxiously.
Oh, the disrespect! Because Black Widow already hasn't had a proper send off like Iron Man, so like more disrespect. Are you kidding me? Like.
You're so right. Yeah, you're both right. Yeah. But it's like it's kind of like
it should have had her flying off in the Quinjet, fade to black, fade back in with leave it black for a couple of seconds, fade back in with Florence Pugh driving up the road, getting out, going to the gravesite, and we go, oh, she did this thing. We know what she went on to do next, but she's gone now, and then have this nice, quiet, somber moment that she didn't get in Endgame.
Yeah.
And then kind of a triumphant, uplifting kind of a fade out credits.
Yeah.
Let that settle, and then post credit have Val walk up.
Exactly, because
it's given us a bit of time between the moment, but instead it was just all in that post credit.
Yeah, because like you said, we have an expectation from the post credit scenes, so we know that something. So absolutely to have it in the main film initially, like Natasha's actual send off, because she didn't get a proper one. And for the disrespect to happen in her own movie,
such a bummer now.
It's kind of just like here, lads,
And like because Black Widow kind of, for the most part, is kind of like super, super, super consistent throughout the entire performance in the MCU. I know like kind of people have issues with their first appearance of her and all that kind of stuff. And I can understand why, but it's like, but like she's been awesome. Yeah. She's just been awesome, and it's like. It does suck that she didn't get a proper send off, and I don't know if that's because she's not as popular as Iron Man. Iron Man obviously had having 3 solo movies, and kind of being one of the more, it is what it is. But it's not cool either. Like it's like I was bummed out that we didn't get like a more emotive.
Definitely, and Brian, your suggestion was perfect. Like that would have worked totally. you know.
Yeah. It's kind of surprising when those things seem like easy wins, and it's surprising that, because they don't just like make these and edit them and then just send them out. Like they're kind of reviewed pretty kind of scrutinously
and
in terms of,
crafted
like,
to
how is this
their
moment
life,
landing?
like,
Yeah, exactly. So it's odd that's not what they did. It's kind of strange.
Yeah, it is very odd. And I know, Croí, you said you were kind of surprised to see her earlier.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. So this movie, you see, was meant to come out before the Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
I think Florence Pugh was supposed to be in Falcon and the Winter Soldier in the post-credit scene, I think, or in some respect.
It couldn't work out because she hadn't been introduced yet.
It wouldn't work. Yeah, she hadn't been introduced yet, so I don't know if they'll ever release those scenes or if they've just scrapped them completely. But.
Oof.
Yeah. So yeah, because they redid something for the end of WandaVision. Disney have put a different cutscene at the end of it with subtle changes, right?
Okay.
And then didn't somebody else do new dialogue for a scene in either one of the TV shows or something, as a post-credit scene or something like that?
That doesn't ring a bell.
Don't think so, no.
For WandaVision specifically, or
like,
just
like,
was it?
Not for WandaVision. I can't remember what show it was.
For WandaVision, they basically just removed like something in a reflection and added some more trees, basically.
I think I heard Chris Hemsworth is going to. That could be a lie, but I did hear Chris Hemsworth was going to voice the frog.
Oh
Thor
yeah,
in Loki.
yeah.
He already has.
He already has.
Yeah, that like when he's. Have you seen the episode?
Yeah.
Yeah. When you see the frog and when you see him jumping, apparently that's him grunting.
Amazing.
Oh, okay.
They actually got him to do the.
Amazing.
Fair
That's a good
enough.
segue
Sure,
actually
kind of,
into Loki. What did you think of the latest episode?
Latest episode of Loki. Look, I really enjoyed it. It's great. Yeah. Like Richard E. Grant. Like honestly, like just it was so cool seeing like a kind of like classic Loki and doing stuff like that. It's brilliant. And Richard E. Grant, judging from his social media and stuff, seems to have just had a blast with it. Has really embraced it and enjoyed it. And he took it as seriously as he possibly he took it as seriously as he possibly could. As in he respected it, everything he was doing, and the fans loving it and stuff. And then he's showing his perspective and he enjoyed it or whatever. But yeah, no, excellent episode. Really, really good. I imagine the President Loki thing isn't going to get any bigger than what we just saw.
No.
Good. Like I like the way this season is going, and I know beforehand I was like apprehensive to say it was my favorite of the three, but it definitely is. It's really enjoyable. Like,
I was going to say that actually, because WandaVision I really liked, but it kind of took a while to get going. It was a bit odd, but like, in terms of narrative, because it's basically we spent ages in her fantasy world and it was very slow to get going, and I did actually like that, that we got to spend time with Wanda and Vision because we kind of hadn't before, so I enjoyed it. But see,
I binge watched that in one day. Sorry, I binge watched that in one day, so I've had a very different experience, say, than watching it once a week. It flows much nicer if you just sit down and watch, like, say, 6 episodes of it. But go on, so
but I liked it, so it would probably at this point be like Loki is my favorite, then WandaVision, then the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Like I enjoyed the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but it just didn't pack as much of a punch as Loki. Like from the get-go, the first 2 episodes of Loki I loved. I thought they were executed really well. I thought the TVA was really good world building, kind of got that off weird vibe, and you're kind of with Loki going, what is going on here? Then the 3rd episode kind of dropped for me. It kind of felt like a not so memorable Doctor Who episode or something. It's like one you would skip over if it was in a Doctor Who season. And it was pure exposition, and it was, so I was like, I hope it doesn't go downhill from here. But then from episode 4 on, it was back to brilliant. And obviously that's continued in episode 5. I can't believe there's only one more episode though.
Is it the same director for every episode?
Yeah, it is.
No.
Yeah. Kate Shortland, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh no, that's she. She did
Kate
Black Widow. Yeah, that's right.
Black Widow. Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry. But anyways, it's like I love watching it. I know the director. I wasn't too sure the director was doing all. I know the person did that. episode 3 and stuff like that. Like, but I wasn't too sure if it was every director was doing the same episode or every episode was directed by the same person. But however, what I'm going to say is, I love it. It just, God, I'm looking forward to kind of binging it. I know that sounds so weird, but like, I'm looking forward to kind of binging it in the sense of just letting the whole thing flow. It's I just love how these things stand up against the movies. Like, you know, it's just so much fun. It's so good.
And I like the relationship that's been set up with Loki and Sylvie. I think that dynamic is interesting. And I'm really glad that we got Mobius back. I think that's a reason why episode 3 didn't work for me as well, as you didn't have Owen Wilson's presence, and you have it back now, and it's
Yeah, there's an easy fix for episode 3 is if it had followed the TVA for a bit.
Yes.
It cut back and forth.
Absolutely.
Instead, it's them on the planet for too long. And
yeah, that's a good point.
I don't dislike any of the stuff that's happening, but the episode was too short, given where the emphasis was. It really would have benefited from
100%.
cutting back to Owen Wilson.
I don't know if I've asked this before. Would you date a variant you from a male or female?
No.
I mean, I would feel
date.
like that's nearly like incesty or something. Like, I don't know. I would feel really weird about it.
I don't think it is. That wouldn't be my issue. I think that's something that people keep leaving out of the conversation when they're kind of asking this question. Is that like genetically variants can be very very different.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Clearly. Like what makes them the same is that I think they refer to it as like a temporal aura.
Okay.
So it's essentially the soul. So the soul is the thing that is.
Well then,
that's the
taking
essence of
away
the person.
that,
Which would mean
weirdness,
genetically they
yeah.
could be.
Which
genetic-
which would mean, I know you're saying, Brian, genetically is like they're completely different, like DNA genetic wise, but that they're all one piece of the same soul, which technically just means they are soulmate.
Yeah.
Because isn't that the whole concept of soulmate?
Yeah.
It's one soul divided in two. So would I bang Lady Kev as long as she didn't have bigger eyebrows than me? Yeah.
I mean, with today's fashion, it's likely she'd have bigger eyebrows than you.
She would do, yeah.
She'd have to. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably just get annoyed with variant me because, you know, the things that annoy me about myself would be like amplified in them.
I'm already dating myself. Just getting to know me, taking the time to get to know me.
Oh, Brian's single.
And I don't like him.
Brian's very single.
I don't know. It would depend.
You're assuming that your variant would be the same as you, like, but like.
Well, they'd be similar for sure, like
for example,
at the core. So I don't know. It depends.
I think I potentially would date variant me. I'd also, if there was a variant me that was an animal, I'd want that as a pet.
So kind of like a demon,
like alligator,
like from his Dark Materials,
or a dog. Yeah, I'd collect variants me's if there was one that was like
project.
You know. Yeah, well, yeah, maybe I could pass my history test with variant me from different timelines, but no, like kind of say like if I don't know, one was a ghost, I'd want to have the variant ghost haunting my house, hanging out. Dogs, cats, alligators, maybe like.
I mean, I'd probably just use them like as the Avatar uses their previous incarnation to just ask for advice.
Okay, cool, fair.
So we've established that
What have we established?
Kev would date a variant Kev.
Cavariant.
Yeah, if they, yeah, not if they're like, you know, not if they were kind of, you know.
Let me just tick that off my list.
Ugly.
Okay.
I wouldn't want to date an ugly me because I don't have the personality to back it.
This is
But
true.
maybe ugly you would have the personality because they're ugly.
Maybe.
No, he doesn't.
Maybe
He
then I've
doesn't.
learned a lesson.
No, they don't. Okay.
maybe I'd learn my lesson. Yeah. If I met variant me and it was the Enchantress, no, too scary. She's
Why scary?
why is she scary?
Yeah.
Do you not think that
Sylvie.
she's scary?
I mean,
she's
Yeah.
not more scary than Loki. I don't know. I'm not like I don't think she's scary. I think she like is an interesting character.
What do you find
Well, no,
scary
like,
about her, Kev?
I know, like, as in, like, say if she threatened me or Loki threatened me, I'd be far more intimidated
Well,
by
yeah,
a threat
maybe.
from her. She's
but not from a regular woman.
would I be intimidated from a threat?
Would you be more threatened
Exactly,
by a
that's my
regular
point.
man or a regular woman threatening you?
But depends within the context of the threat. But I'm talking about within the context of this show, she's more intimidating than Loki, no?
I mean, she's better at combat, like hand-to-hand combat. Loki's more theatrical, I think.
Oh no, I kind of also mean personality-wise.
She's more focused on
Yeah.
her goal.
Yeah.
She has a
Yeah,
set goal that like driven by glorious purpose. Whereas, you know, in this context, the Loki we've seen is very scattered and undirected. He's very roller coastering off of.
Yeah.
Or
So
very
she's inherently more
ricocheting from
dangerous
one kind
because
of
she's more
concept to the
driven,
next.
and she'll do anything to
Yeah,
achieve
but, like,
what she needs to achieve.
But she can, and she can do the kind of the enchantress thing and all that kind of stuff. Like, so, like, kind of Loki. Sometimes I love Loki as a character, but he comes off sometimes as like he's had a pretty good life, and he comes off really fucking ungrateful, you know.
Privileged.
Where Sylvie's had a really hard life, and it's hardened her and stuff. I find Loki very endearing, but like I love Sylvie. I think she's a brilliant character. I'm just saying,
there are
I think
moments
she's
where you
more
see-
formidable and more intimidating than Loki.
There are moments where you see Loki's competence, like even in this show. We've not seen a lot of it yet, but like even in episode 2, where they're gathering around to go for whatever, and they just go, "Oh, this one does a lot of illusions," and he goes, "Sorry, duplication projection," and they have just stop and listen to him to find the difference between. It's like, you know, it was kind of interesting to go, no, he's got a full set of skill set that he's confident in, and he can tell you about it, you know, and he can turn that towards his, you know, goals or intentions. But we are seeing him in a very comic reliefy kind of setting, you know. So I think I've said to you guys, or some of you in conversation, and I know this is wrong because Mike Waldron isn't writing, I don't think he's writing every episode of this, and he's not written on every episode of Rick and Morty, but I'm starting to see, or I'm drawing a connection between the two, because Rick and Morty will throw concepts at you and move away from, just say that's a fun idea, and then get back to whatever it is they want to do in that episode. They just start throwing ideas at the wall just to have fun moments. And when you take that sort of Rick and Morty lens and look at Loki then and go, oh, the DB Cooper bit, you know, is just like, remember that time, you know, Rick and Morty were blades in the background, you know, we're blades, we're fighting vampires, that's cool. And then moving on to whatever the actual thrust of the episode is. It's an idea that's like, it's fun and it leads to fun moments, but it also means you fly past a bunch of things that like we could have spent some time on. And when you end up in this void, they've got an idea that they're heading at. We hope, anyway, that this is all going to pay off with something. But like, when I saw them land in the void and I saw that moment in the trailer, I thought Loki's going to get dumped somewhere, and he's going to, you know, he's going to beat Loki, and he's going to pull this ragtag ensemble of people together, and he's going to, like, part of my head was like, everybody that survived in this void are going to be rallied by President Loki, and he's going to turn them towards whatever his goal is. But clearly not. President Loki was another duplicate or doppelganger or loclicate, and they just sort of like give him a moment.
for it in the TV show.
He's an alternative. He's a random.
Say it with us.
He's a random element. He's a rogue comet. He's a differential. You know, he's.
I hate this podcast.
He's another a different interpretation. He's only in there for a moment, and it's like it's a nice. Like, it's such a lovely moment in the trailer where he's got everyone who get with him, and then they all turn on him, and it's like, oh, that's going to be cool to see our Loki go on this journey. And nope, he doesn't. And then that fight scene that ensues, if you go and watch that, he is running around the room, sort of stopping short of things and like and dodging and ducking and diving. And it's like, I don't know if anybody else was in the room when he did that. It feels like they just told him to run around and act like he's dodging stuff, and then we'll put stuff in and around you, because it looks very disconnected from what ends up going on in that room. It does look like Tom Hiddleston was on his own in a green space, just pretending to dodge shit. Did anybody else think that?
No.
I didn't. I can't remember, to be totally honest. But if I were to watch it again, probably I would notice. I liked how he was like, kind of fed up with his variants. You know, it shows a little bit of character growth. How he's like, oh, here, why he's all fighting. You know, there's a nice tiny little moment.
I was a little bit disappointed that boastful Loki double crossed him. I wanted to see him like using that golden hammer and see.
Yeah,
where,
he was
where
kind
that
of
goes,
discarded
Yeah.
pretty
Is that,
quickly.
is that his own toy, or is that like I don't know him from the comics? Is that something he has to sort of try and like put himself next to Thor? It's like, I also have a hammer and it's gold, or is that the Mjolnir of his timeline?
I kind of assumed it was the hammer from his timeline, but where how he got it, I don't know. He seems like if it's called boastful Loki, it's obviously.
I mean,
full of shit.
boastful Loki. I mean, technically, that's just Loki, right? So they could have come up with like a better description.
I know, yeah.
Richard E. Grant. Did you talk about him?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yes. We did. Yeah. He's brilliant in it, and I that kind of thing where he raises the illusion of the city and all that kind of stuff, whatever it is. I just thought it was great. I loved it, and I hate big fucking energy balls and light things and smoke stuff and beams of all that jazz. But
and I love that that's what
pretty
Loki
cool.
could evolve into. And it was nice to see that he sort of saw the error in his ways and became, better than he's been established to be. I also thought,
that Loki was lovely.
Also,
I was kind of like, I was enjoying the episode, but when I felt like they were just going to wrap it up with Sylvie enchanting the cloud and us heading off, I was just like, this is a bit of a flat way to end this. It just seems moving, and then when they cut to Loki throwing up, I thought that was amazing. I really, really liked that, and it was a great moment for the character, and you got a bit of like Ride of the Valkyries coming in there as well. And then immediately afterwards you get all the fan theories coming in that like, of course this is our Tom Hiddleston from Endgame who created an illusion and slunk off, and this is like Prime Loki's out there somewhere, or he's so good at casting up Asgard around him because in his isolation he recreated his home so many times. And the lightning in the background is a tribute to his brother. Marvel fans are crazy.
None of that's happened. It's literally what we saw on the show.
Because it physically couldn't be Loki from the original timeline, because before he was a variant, because his it stops like the his timelines stop, so it couldn't be that Loki. If they're thinking that it's that Loki, that wouldn't work out.
Or so they think.
I have a question for one of our fans.
It actually it's a viable, if they wanted to bring Hiddleston back, Richard E. Grant has opened the door there.
For sure.
I have a question from one of our listeners, and it's at the first episode where Loki gets the Tesseract or whatever, and then kind of like disappears. That was at the end of the first Avengers, right?
No, it's at the end of Endgame.
Well,
It was in the middle of Endgame.
chronologically, it took place at the end of Avengers 2011. In the movies, it is in the middle of the Endgame movie.
So they've travelled back to 2012, and they've just finished beating the Chitauri and Loki and stuff, and that's when it happens.
So what happens? Loki comes out of this at the end and gets his brain wiped.
No.
So Loki is going to survive. He's going to change the events of Endgame.
They pruned. They grabbed the variant Loki. They reset the timeline. Loki never grabbed the Tesseract in the prime timeline.
Yeah, it's gone back
to... got taken off by Thor, put into prison.
And he'll go on to die
so
again
that
in
timeline's still
Ragnarok.
secure.
Yeah.
Or no, not Ragnarok, sorry, in Endgame. What is going on with my brain?
I think he's died in every movie.
Infinity War.
But
Infinity War. See, this is what... Thank you.
He died in Thor. He died in Dark World.
Where he faked his death in Dark World.
Yeah, but like...
Did he die in Thor?
He fell into what we assumed was death.
Yeah, we thought he died in Thor, but he didn't die. But he faked his death. We know by the end. We know by the end of the Dark World that he's alive. So.
Yes, but I'm just saying, I think he dies in everything.
I mean, he's even fake died in Loki.
He was arrested in the Avengers. He has fake died in Loki.
God's sake.
The opening scene of it.
You said that like a question. Odd.
Sorry. The opening scene of it, like I was so ready to enjoy this episode, and then this camera move shot into like a very, very flat Tom Hiddleston on the ground and Richard E. Grant walking out and going, we got to get out of here. Like he delivered his lines fairly flat. It was a very sort of proscenium set shot where he walked right to left, got up and walked. It was it's a very flat moment. I would have liked a nice hero shot of Richard E. Grant like
Yeah.
reaching down and pulling him up and then getting off to the adventure. It was just a odd moment. The Judge Ravenna and Sylvie stuff was very odd.
Yeah.
Like, do we trust each other? What do you actually want? Like, I'm not entirely sure how much she doesn't know who the timekeepers really are. Like, how much is she playing dumb to Sylvie? How much does she actually want to find out who they are?
I think she's just kind of loyal to a fault.
I don't know. It feels like there's something more to her. Like, or maybe there isn't. I don't know how to suss her out at all.
Yeah. I feel like it's undefined enough that we're trying to put logic onto her. And that's a problem.
I think she's got the same
character.
motive as Loki.
Now, though. Now that she's
No,
seen
I think
that
she's
the
always had the
timekeepers are...
same motive. I think she's always had the same motive. She's been playing a part.
Yeah,
Oh, you think she's trying to get a look at who's in control and seize control?
maybe.
I thought it was really, really clever that Sylvie kind of pruned herself. Because I wasn't thinking that. I was like, how are they going to find where they go and blah, blah. And I just thought, like, it was like, obviously it was a risk, but I thought, like, that was so fucking badass.
Yeah, to be honest, I kind of thought it was inevitable that she was going to prune herself, because it's like, well, she needs to find Loki. It's kind of the next logical sort of step.
Yeah, how else are they going to get there?
Because she's going to be taken by the
to be honest,
TVA,
but
otherwise
fair play
kind
to
of were, you know, so she kind of didn't really have another choice.
Did you just talk at all about the any of the Easter egg stuff floating around the void?
Oh, no, we didn't.
There's
no.
the Thanos helicopter.
What's your
as well.
favourite one?
The Thanos helicopter is my favorite. It's so goofy.
Thanos helicopter is very, very funny. Yeah, very, very good.
Yeah.
I like the yellow jacket helmet because I just watched that man, and
Yeah.
yellow jacket's so cool.
The Avengers building in the background isn't the Avengers building. It's the Queng Queeng building, which is a corporation that bought the building out from
Right.
under them, and
Who is owned by Kang?
is an alias for Kang. Comic book writing in the 70s was fairly straight line, wasn't it? The heroes will never spot this, but
Hide in plain sight. The Thanos helicopter is very, very funny. Fair play to them for putting that in there. That was good fun.
there's an alternate
People are-
timeline where he's floating around in
Yeah.
a little helicopter.
He drove a helicopter and got arrested by the police afterwards. But the yellow jacket helmet, I think like these things
Yeah.
are just Easter eggs. Like people are trying to allude that yellow jacket will return and stuff. I don't know if they. I don't know.
Because,
if
I
they
mean,
will,
there's
but-
endless possibilities.
Yeah, well,
You can
it's-
have,
it's-
like, absolutely anything there. So, not everything like that does have to continue or be shown in some way.
Yes,
It's the same thing that Brian was saying about the Rick and Morty stuff last week. It's like nothing in this ever has to pay off. Just throw shit at the wall and
Yeah.
entertain your audience.
yeah. Yeah,
Like,
you're dead right.
I
yeah.
saw somebody say there's a couple of subway cars in there, and somebody was like, "Well, that's clearly from Spider-Man
Yeah.
too." You know, that's
I was
Maguire's
gonna bring
Spider-Man
that up. Yeah,
subway
yeah.
car.
The ship that was dropped though, that's I think that's a ship that actually existed in like World War II era when they were potentially doing experiments, and it's a conspiracy theory thing. Brian is not in his head, like he knows what I'm talking about, so he can articulate it better than I can because I'm not good at words.
Over to you, Brian.
It's kind of a myth that it was involved in. They were trying to cloak ships, apparently.
And it teleported.
Yeah, and the story was that this was the ship that they used, but it's not true.
And people were fused into the walls and all that
Yeah,
kind of stuff.
when it came back, there was the crew members were.
It's a true
Wow.
story. Look into it. The ship was say in Chicago at one time, and then it was like in like say some other part of like of America like 2 seconds later, and it was all like recorded and all that kind of stuff in terms of like shipping manuals or whatever we call them.
For every like ludicrous conspiracy theory about some sci-fi shit like that, I call it ludicrous because I choose to believe that's where the line of ludicrousness is. There's the story where the British were doing nuclear testing and they just got an entire ship of people, stuck them up on deck and said, we're trying to work out what the safe range for people is and what the effects are statistically. They just set off a nuclear bomb at a certain distance, and they just have like this is an ongoing case that like was in the news a couple of years ago. They put like 500, 600 people on the deck of a ship, blew up a nuclear bomb, and like 700 of them have had cancer and died. You know, like.
But there was only 600 on board. That's crazy.
I'm bad at numbers, but you know what I'm saying. For every time we're like
this...
weird military experimentation is completely bullshit. What did they think was going to happen?
That's why. Do you think that's why we have cancer nowadays? Those people went out and procreated. They shared the genes, the cancerous genes, and then the cancerous genes are like awoken by 5G. The 5G gets you. Then the only way you can cure is a dreamer.
Turning the frogs gay.
You gotta put on a costume.
Maybe
a scary costume.
As scary as Sylvie.
Kids that are trying to investigate a scary Sylvie costume and you have to scare children, so you get to dreamer home, but those children then find out who you are and foil your plans and put you in prison.
Yeah, that's pretty legit.
100%.
Right there.
Did that turn into a Scooby-Doo thing?
Never heard of it.
Okay.
You know, the way that they've just put a load of Easter eggs in the background and stuff. Like Yellow Jacket
Misdirection.
and Thanos Copter and President Loki and a lot of stuff. It's just, you know, the Void was kind of like a dumping ground for all these urban myths and things we can just throw in there. And there's the Polybius arcade game, which
yeah.
But everybody's just been talking about
context for that. What's that?
Same here.
MK Ultra.
It was it was just this another conspiracy theory that this arcade game, which never actually existed, but people were saying there's this arcade game
existed,
and that it was brainwashing people essentially. So if you played it, it was a form of mind control by the CIA, part of their MK Ultra project. Apparently, that when you play this, it could like essentially brainwash you and indoctrinate you, and it was a method that the CIA had for like indoctrinating people, but it was through an arcade game, and that's the conspiracy theory. And most people have just in the discussion went, "Oh, there's a Polybius in the background. That's a cool little Easter
conspiracy theory nod."
But I was thinking, could it potentially go deeper than that? Because
this is a nerd podcast.
Nerdcast.
We should call it that. Is that a thing?
Hold on, Brian's done a lot of talking and he's about to get to a point.
Is there more than one Mobius?
You've raised this before.
Is Polybius a clever play, a clever reference to the fact that Mobius being like mono Mobius and Poly that being that there's many Mobiuses, and is that a little Easter egg? Is it more than just we've got the USS Eldridge, which is a reference to the Philadelphia experiment conspiracy theory, and we've got Polybius, which is we've got DB Cooper, which is a reference to the DB Cooper conspiracy theory, and we've got the Polybius arcade game, which is a reference to the Polybius arcade game. Yeah. But is it also a little Easter egg for the fact that are we going to find out that there's more than one?
You mean Morbius?
Is it a little?
No, I'm sorry, but that's amazing.
You made Aiden drink.
That is an amazing find though. That's really interesting.
How did you draw the connection between Polybius and Morbius? God damn it.
Well, no, just
Poly and
Mobius. Mono. Yeah. So they're spelled like the end of the word is the same. It's BIUS. Mm-hmm. So everybody saw Polybius and they're like, oh, it's just a nod to the conspiracy theory. But I was saying, what if there's an extra layer to it and it's a nod? It's a bit of a hint that
that's really clever.
Mobius.
Every time you suggest that there's more than one
what they
Mobius,
included?
I picture a CG shot of several hundred Owen Wilsons
wow.
marching in unison. Wow.
I need that in my life. Wow.
Yeah. We all do. Yeah, okay, so but there is
all I need to do is animate one little walk cycle, right? And then duplicate it and then just have them all go wow.
And then you're gonna do it. You gotta like just delay it, flip it.
Okay, so predictions for final episode.
No idea. I'm not that smart.
I think there's a Loki in that house.
Yeah,
it's definitely a Loki.
I don't know.
Yeah.
What house?
The house at the end of the portal that we were looking at.
Yes.
I feel like I will be severely disappointed if Mobius doesn't get to ride a jet ski. So I will riot if he doesn't get a jet ski.
You'd riot.
Absolutely, I've been quarantining the whole time.
Pandemic, you would riot.
How far is the nearest house or
don't know, guys. If we want to
associate
associate with this kind of Aggressive political action. It's not good. So I don't know if you want to associate with this kind of aggressive political action.
This is a nerd podcast.
This is a nerd podcast.
Yes, this is a nerd podcast. We're not
Of
trying to
course.
incite riots here. Kang is a variant of Loki.
I saw somebody saying that building is called the House of Ideas, and it is populated by two cosmic beings called Then and Now, which is cool stuff in the comics.
Is it gonna
Don't
be
do
like
that.
Mrs. Who
But-
and Miss Watson and whatever?
Make it a Loki. Yeah, it has to be.
It's going to be Kang, and Kang is a variant of Loki who took over the TVA that like Loki wanted to.
There's a shot
just
in
Loki.
the Loki trailer from months and
Because
months back that
Kang-
we haven't seen yet, which is a Loki in full regalia on
Okay.
a throne.
Okay.
I got it.
Right.
We haven't seen that yet.
Loki's real color
Yeah.
is blue.
Mm-hmm.
Kang.
Oh my god,
Is
so the TVA is being
blue.
run by the Blue Man Group.
Yes, that's exactly what I was going for. I did not need you to finish my sentence, but if that sounds intelligent, then yes, I did say that. That's what I was doing. That's what I
No,
was
do
going for.
continue.
Loki has to be. No, I'm not going to say has to be because that's real nerdy. No, it's going potentially. Couldn't it be? Loki could be Kang, blue, and doesn't care and not hiding it because all these Kangs are all
No.
these Lokis and none of them are ice people.
Because Kang
No.
is Jonathan Majors.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean it was Sylvie's Loki.
Yeah, but why would they make it?
Richard E. Grant
Why
is
why
Loki.
would they make it Kang, but Tom Hiddleston
Loki.
Kang? It's too convoluted.
No Kang do?
If you're gonna make it Kang, just make it Kang.
Oh God, I hope.
King Kang.
I hope I'm right.
So
King Kang.
I reckon there's a
€1 billion
Loki in that house. We
billion
know
euro.
this is going to a season 2. What do you do with if you're trying to bring down the TVA, but the TVA is run by you, or at least established by you?
Don't worry about season 2.
But where does Loki go? You know, how do we?
Anywhere you want, because
Do you think Loki
can
season 2 is going to be about Sylvie?
it can be about anything. Exactly. Yeah.
I do not know where it's gonna go, but that's good. Like you know, for the likes
said
of
that last week.
WandaVision.
Kev stole it from me.
What did I say?
Cree, finish your thought.
Because, like, say WandaVision was like, I mean, it was enjoyable, but it was quite predictable, do you know. And the opposite of is true of Loki. It keeps you guessing, you know. So
Well, the multiverse, like, I mean, I'm trying to draw connections, I guess. Like, I don't think that fucking visual effect that they changed in Disney Plus is anything to fucking worry about. I saw somebody saying it's just like a rendering artifact as much as it is anything else. But we have Wanda studying with the Darkholm, which ties us to Doctor Strange's Multiverse of Madness. We have a multiverse established here with the TVA. Loki, Wanda, and Doctor Strange are all in each other's orbits now. So when does Multiverse of Madness come out? Next year,
is it
right?
next year? Oh, so long to wait.
So I
Yeah.
think we're not going to know what Loki is until we see what the repercussions of that
Yeah.
interaction is.
yeah,
It could also tie into
And then
What
I'm-
If.
True?
What If could be the first proper look
Yeah.
at a multiverse, because so far we've just seen variants from a multiverse,
actual.
whereas What
different
If will be
universes. Yeah.
actual multiverse stories. Yeah.
And we've got a Spider-Man movie coming out at the end of the year that, while we kind of dismiss it as being off in Sony land, it's definitely jumping into a Spider-Verse multiverse thing. We're going to see different Spiders-Men. Is that how you say it? Spider-Men's?
Spider-Man's where?
Spider-Man.
Spider-Peoples?
Spider-Peoples, because we don't know if
Spider-folk.
they're all
Just
men.
say Spider-folk.
Or
Spider beans.
some of them could be crocodilias.
Or more
So,
alligators.
Spider beans. Spider forms?
Arachnids.
Spider forms.
I think Spider-Man is like mankind. Man doesn't actually necessarily have to mean masculine or male.
Oh, for fucking cancelled.
Man can
Brian
be
just-
a broad.
Brian just fucking cancelled us.
Spider-Force. Just call it Spider-Force.
Fucking Creed said Spider Force. People are going to think we were fucking.
It's far too
Space Force
aggressive.
With Trump. Where?
This is political all over again.
Or
This is
Spider
it's far too
Council
political.
then. That's a bit less.
But it is a curious question. I mean, I don't know. None of it's fucking curious. None of it matters. This is a nerd podcast. I'm just trying to sound like I have ideas.
Don't say it.
It is curious that we do have Sony tripping into the multiverse stuff at the same time as the MCU is going into the multiverse. I wonder how coordinated they are in their approaches, if
But
at
Brian, I think,
Yeah, this is how they get
Yeah.
him
yeah,
out of the MCU.
Brian said that, and I can't believe it. Yeah,
all. I don't want to
No,
lose Tom.
Tom, stay.
This is how they pull him out, but
Yeah.
bring him back whenever they
Or
want.
or are they able to now go? If they set up if they set up a multiverse like that, do they necessarily have to remove him from the MCU, or they just have to go, hey, Tom Holland is also in this Spider-Man universe, and it's a different Tom Holland, and you can keep yours in the MCU, but we're going to do separate things over here now.
I mean, it's a
that's
lot.
too much for
That's
people
a
to
lot.
understand, and not in a bad way. Yeah,
I don't think it is though. That's the thing. That's exactly what Loki is
setting
up.
teaching
Is-
the audience, is that they can
This
yeah.
I
this
want,
Tom
you know,
Holland
But this-
interaction.
this
it
actor
means,
can be
like-
over here,
Tom
and over
Hardy.
here, and
Tom Hardy's Venom,
Yeah.
Woody Harrelson's Carnage, Jared Leto's Morbius. Tom Holland exists in that world as a
general
Spider-Man.
audiences are now multiverse literate because of a concerted effort.
Oh, it's literate. Yeah,
Giant
absolutely.
corporations.
People will understand, but it's just like a lot, sort of just in terms of like movies, like the possibilities and things. It's like,
You'll take your Disney content however we choose. And
I mean,
we'll
yeah, fair.
like it.
And with that, I'd like to give a shout out to Disney and Fox, and I'd like to thank our conglomerate overlords, and hope that one day they see fit to rain merch upon us as a loyal supporter.
Too desperate.
Too desperate. Cut it. Cut it.
Too desperate.
yeah.
Why are you leaving me on red, Disney? Come on.
they are creating
Yeah,
really
no
good
match.
original content, though, in terms of, in the context of the MCU and Star Wars, like The Mandalorian was
Yeah,
fab.
yeah.
I thought it was fabulous.
I'm a
Mandalorian
little
is
concerned
good
about
and
all the
stuff.
spin-offs
Yeah.
they're doing since The Mandalorian, because
It
it's
is,
a
yeah.
lot.
Maybe we're possibly going to lose Tom, but what if we got like Ben Riley, and it was like who could play it?
Not in the MCU.
Who could play Ben Riley?
Not in the MCU.
No other Spider-Man except for Tom.
The person that would play Ben Riley would be Tom Holland, because Ben Riley is a clone of Peter
I
Parker.
think they should bring in Miles.
Yeah?
Oh,
Absolutely.
yeah, okay.
Miles Morales. Like, I mean, it's
Pre-fixed
right
it.
there.
We already got Don Glover's Prowler.
But they can't do that in the MCU. It'll
Still.
still be Sony.
Is
So,
it,
Sony
yeah?
own it.
yeah, it'll still all be Sony.
If
yeah.
the character...
There was already a rumor that they might do
Wow.
a live action Spider-Verse, because the actors look kind of like they're
I mean, Into the
on-screen
Spider-Verse
counterparts,
already
so
did it
it's
so
already been
well.
talked about.
Oh, you say like Nick Cage shows up as Spider-Noir?
Yeah, and you could you
Cool.
kind of wonder how much of what they do is to kind of hamstring
Spider-Ham.
each other, because there was talk that they might do a live action Spider-Verse using those actors on screen, and then they cast Haley Steinfeld as Kate Bishop. So it's almost like Marvel went, well, if you're going to do that, we're going to take your Gwen Stacy before you even get to put her on screen by making her Kate Bishop.
Does that mean we get Nick Cage as well?
We would, yeah.
That's
But
cool. He was good.
I do feel like they do stuff like that. Once they hear that somebody might do something, it's this constant chess move. It's like, well, if they want to put her in a live action, we'll get her first over here.
Just tie that down a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, Disney's playing chess, the rest of the world's playing checkers.
They're on a different level. Not even just chess, the 3D chess from The Big Bang Theory, or the 4D chess, the one like with different levels and everything. They're like completely on a different level.
I don't watch The Big Bang Theory.
From Star Trek, the original
That
series.
too.
That they put
Star
in.
Trek either.
That too.
Which is still just regular chess.
At the
It's
end
just
of
chess
the day,
on levels,
yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah, it's not fourth
I know.
dimension. Like this is fourth
You can
dimensional
smell
chess.
it.
It's like, no, it's chess.
You can smell the fourth dimension is smell.
No, but you know what? Like, I know the fourth dimension obviously is not smell, but like when you go see like a 4D movie, they chuck smells out at you, like.
Yeah, it's still the
They
sensation.
spritz you with water. I went to see The Equalizer 2
Oh
in
my
4D, and
gosh.
there's a scene where it's just
Yeah.
in a storm, and I put on my jacket.
If ever a film didn't need
4D.
Equalizer 2.
4D, it's the Equalizer
Wow.
2.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
It was rainy. It was rainy, and they just sprayed water at us for like maybe
Did they-
30 minutes. And I put on my jacket.
Did they like give
it was
you all
cold.
watches
It was
for
windy
you
and
to
cold.
check. Like, what?
Yeah.
No,
What
yeah.
sense did they try to evoke at the beginning of the movie when Denzel Washington was having a little Turkish tea before he started the fight?
Can't remember. I just remember it being cold and rainy inside the cinema.
It's like you can feel Denzel Washington killing you. Like,
You can feel him also giving you a sort of sage and paternal lecture about getting out of the ghetto.
I did see. Oh God, I can't remember movies names, but the one where the Vision and Scarlet Witch are in Scotland. I think
Infinity
it's
War.
that is Infinity War.
Infinity War. That's what I said. And there's like a scene. You know when Vision gets stabbed in the back. So I'd watched that movie and I'd seen it, and then I went again to watch it in the 4D, and I got stabbed in the back by a machine behind you, and it's just like, oh my God,
That's
I
awful.
was shocked, yeah, and I knew it was coming, and I was even
I'd hate
scared.
that.
It got me.
Did you turn to
but,
dust at the end?
I'd get angry. I would get so angry.
No, but they threw a lot of dust in my face.
Did they?
No.
What?
4D is basically you're fucked around in a chair for a while.
Where was
When
it?
Cineworld.
In Dublin.
Oh gosh.
Anywhere,
What
yeah.
was the name of the thing?
It
It was
sounds
like
like-
iSense or XSense or...
No, it's 4D or it's 4DX or whatever.
4DX,
Yeah, you get
that's
fucked
it.
around in a chair for a while they throw smoke and water at you.
Wow.
Oh, God.
So stupid.
I saw Jurassic Park in that
Oh my god.
thing. The one where it's like the house and the raptors going through the house all the time. It's like Resident Evil, but it was awful. It was an awful experience.
Did they actually like bioengineer
probably-
dinosaurs and let them loose in the cinema?
No.
Then what's the
It's
point?
not the one I went to see anyways.
It's like that scene in Jurassic
you're
Park
right.
3 where you just turn to your right and there's a velociraptor there on the airplane next to you.
I don't even remember that.
Alan.
Yeah, there's a scene where an animatronic velociraptor talks to Alan Grant in an airplane. Do you not remember this? He wakes him up out of his dream. He goes, Alan, wake up. And it's like,
It's just like a Twilight Zone reference.
No. This is actually in Jurassic Park.
Nah, it's not. It's not. I'm not believing it. I won't do it. You just want me to believe you on the podcast because
I'm going to
believe
send it to you.
everything
I'm
you
going to
say.
send it to you now.
You're taking advantage of my goodwill,
You're hunting
my
for it.
trust.
so next week we have the finale of Loki. We will have hopefully had complete resolution. Will be entirely
I
catharsis.
think it
did.
would be super meta if they had the leader of the TVA actually just be like Kevin Feige playing himself. That would actually be hilarious.
Who is Kevin Feige and how did he rise to power?
Oh, he's like the president of Marvel. He's like the producer.
Oh, I know who he is.
He's like the head of. Oh,
But I mean, like, who is he and how did he rise to power? Not in the context.
no, he's just literally there in his cap, being like, "Okay, this is great, guys. Good job."
He was Avi Arad's assistant.
the guy who invented the air hockey.
Yep.
Yes. So that's how he became who he is.
He was his assistant on X-Men and Spider-Man, yeah.
So he became more popular than Avi Arad, the man who invented
Yep.
air hockey.
Yep.
Incredible.
Crazy.
And Croí would like to see this man in Loki.
I don't know. I think it would be funny.
No,
It's a joke.
I mean,
Kevin
like,
Feige.
but
No, no,
for those following the comic books, the Hellfire Club gala that they did like a special event comic where everybody went to a gala on
It was beautiful.
Krakoa or wherever
Beautiful
they're
stuff.
living now. And
you
we
see
saw
them,
all
Cree?
the dresses. They were kind of treating it like
Croí, did you see those?
The
Like the Met,
they were treating it like a
the Met
what's
Gala.
the ball in New York? The Met,
Met
Ball.
Gala, yeah.
Yeah, the Met. So they like had all these MCU characters and all of these sort of pop cultural characters attending this gala on the X-Men's nation island, which is Krakoa. I
planet.
think.
It's not an island.
And
It's
they had
Genosha.
it's a
Genosha was
planet
the
now,
island,
is it?
but Krakow or whatever it's called is a planet. I think it's the moon.
wow. Okay.
I could be wrong.
you know.
Well, anyway, Kevin Feige was there, and Cyclops was pitching
No
him an
way.
X-Men movie in the comic book. Yeah.
Well,
amazing.
yeah. If you haven't seen those designs, you should check them out, Croí. They're awesome. Have you seen them?
I've seen a few of
Okay,
them,
okay,
and
okay.
I know it's a thing, but I should look it up more because it's a cool idea.
Well,
Yeah,
just the
fine.
designs, literally
Fine.
just like,
Like,
the
it-
kind of, it's like high fashion X-Men, and it's just cool to see.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the fashion nerd version of the 90s when they did like swimsuit issues. It's just like drawing these characters in costumes that you think are cool looking. Any final business? Any
Well,
closing
yeah,
business
let's
here?
just do a rundown of, like, so, Aiden, Black Widow out of 10.
Oh no.
Ooh.
Favorite bit,
7.
worst bit.
Favorite bit, Florence Pugh, anytime she's making fun of
Fair.
Natasha. I thought that was funny. Specifically the bit where she drops out of the air vent and lands in the poser
Yeah,
pose
that's
and
brilliant.
comes up out of
Yeah,
it and
yeah.
very like "Brrr," and shakes
Yeah.
it off. It's like, ugh, can't believe I did that. Very funny. Worst bit, I think that prison break scene just isn't strong. I wish it was better. It should have been. It should have been a more entertaining bit. Like, she jumps out of the helicopter into a gantry, and that nothing she does on that gantry is thrilling.
It's a weird scene, yeah.
Like, she doesn't like, if she had swung down on the rope and grabbed the Guardian out of the place in one movement, that would have been a kind of a cool thing. But instead, she lands on a gantry and they fight for 5 minutes, and the helicopter goes in circles and. Yeah, so I think that sequence is my sort of disappointing moment. I do think Olga Kurylenko had a tiny neck sticking out of a stunt person body armor.
Yeah.
It looked a bit funny. It's kind of. Someone said to me maybe that's a robot body or something because
Yeah.
she was destroyed in the fire or something. But
And
like,
she's like analyzing
it just
things.
like, yeah, they just used a stunt person for 99.9% of that character, and I just wish they'd got a stunt person with a similar physicality and just fuck this mislead bit. Just give us a similar physicality as Olga, and because then she just puts the helmet back on and she's another big dude again, you know.
Okay, that's
Anyway.
your takeaway. Brian?
Yep. Out of 10.
Thumbs up. I don't do numbers or stars.
How many
It's
numbers?
bullshit.
How many thumbs up?
It's a thumbs up.
Okay.
A thumbs up.
Your favorite moment?
Okay, so that's 50%.
Yeah.
Favorite moments: opening escape scene. It's very good.
Yes.
It is, yeah. And the Red Guardian comes across as very competent.
Yeah, actually, that
effective
was a
there,
great scene.
which is kind of
Yeah.
part of why he's disappointing after it.
And your low
Best
point?
scene.
Or your thing?
Low point: not enough Taskmaster.
Fair.
Underutilized.
Definitely.
Three
Wasted.
out of 10? You don't feel obliged
I'm-
because Brian's ruined
I think I'm gonna go again with 7. I'm no good with like quantifying my liking of something in numbers, but
So a thumbs up.
yeah, thumbs up. And but if I had
thumbs
to,
up.
I would say like 7 out of 10.
Okay, favorite moment?
I really liked. I thought the opening was strong. So the flashback of them, getting away and establishing young Nat and the credits, that was a good one. And then also I really enjoyed the scene between David Harbour and Florence Pugh as they were like just, he was trying to reach out to her, and it was just this really lovely moment, I thought. Yeah, and then they start singing, and it's actually quite a nice moment that brings those two characters together and kind of humanizes them. So that was a high point for me. Low point, again, yeah, I'm going to agree with Brian here and say Taskmaster was totally underutilized, because that's such a cool character.
It is,
Copying other people's, like, you could have done so much more with that, but it was kind of wasted.
Yeah, they show Taskmaster watching footage
Yeah.
of people, and you see him fighting a bit.
A little bit, but not to the extent.
I'm still saying him. You see
Yeah.
Taskmaster fighting a bit.
We see them we see them like unleash their Black Panther claws, and then it cuts,
Yeah.
and then it never goes
Yeah.
back to it, and it's like, what? And like,
Why
we're
didn't
supposed
I
to see
see him?
we're supposed to see this cool fight scene between, like I said, the escape scene.
Yeah.
Was kind of underwhelming because Harbour gets,
And-
the scene just
Yeah.
wasn't great, and then he gets taken out so quickly at the farmhouse. So I was looking forward to this really cool fight scene between Taskmaster using
Yeah.
Black Panther's abilities and all this stuff against
Yeah.
Captain Soviet Union, essentially, and we never see it.
Yeah. We were finally going to see this person who he believes he fought a Captain America in the 80s. So that's a question. Who the fuck was
Yeah.
that? But okay. Yeah, like they got to the point where they had Florence Pugh tell us that, this character mirrors people's fighting.
Yeah.
He can fight
It's
like
just
all
it
your
wasn't
friends, or they
shown
can fight
enough.
like all your friends.
And
This just in, breaking news, message from Jonathan Byrne. In watching The Black Widow, I fell asleep at the start of the third act. He didn't enjoy it. Turd is spelled T-U-R-D.
Yeah, that was noted.
Like poop.
Yes.
So I guess it's no thumbs up from Jonathan Byrne.
Thumbs down from Jandy.
Turds up.
Oh wait, Kevin, what did you think of? Sorry, what's your rating for Black Widow?
When I went in to see it, somebody told me like I got bad reviews, or I heard bad things, you know, and I hate when people say that. I hate people putting things out there before. I avoid these things, you know. Everybody should know I kind of avoid these things unless I ask. Don't, you know, that kind of way. Like, but I hate that. But I went in, and I really enjoyed it. You know, I was kind of starved for Marvel content on the screen and like where these things fit in, and it was really nice to see Black Widow get her own movie. That was my favorite bit. I think just seeing kind of say more Black Widow, but particularly Pew. You know, she was so fucking unreal. Lowest parts, I guess, not enough Red Guardian or Taskmaster, and I didn't like suffocating the pig.
Oh yeah.
Went down for too long.
A final thought on the cinema going experience.
Oh,
That was going to be my next question. You both went to the cinema,
fucking
didn't
awful.
you?
No, it's the cinema, yeah.
Lucky.
20 minutes of, are you ready? Did you miss us? Do you want to feel more? Do you want to feel
Buy
more?
a
Do you want to
Cineworld
feel
card.
more? We missed you. Feel more. Feel
Get
more.
yourself
Oh,
a Coke.
God, it was
There's
20
still
minutes
time to
of
get a
fucking
concession.
brutal shit. I'd rather watch it at home.
Feel more. See it in 4D.
There was... I liked being back in the cinema. There was way less of that.
It was brutal.
It was fine. The only bad thing about it was there was a group of maybe 5 or 6 teenage girls, and it was in a small screening, and like there's a perimeter of one seat around, so it was a daytime showing anyway, so it was pretty quiet. And then on top of that, it wasn't sold out, so you know the screen was maybe a quarter full maybe, and there was a group of teenage girls. They didn't shut the fuck up for the whole
That's sad.
thing. And I was kind of sitting there going, I was like, do I say something? Do I leave them alone? And for the most part, they were being quiet enough. But by the third act, they were being kind of loud. And by the time the credits were on and people were sitting there waiting for the post-credit scene, they brought the lights halfway up. And the whole time, basically, the point of all this is I was kind of sitting there going, like, am I an asshole if I say something? Like, what do I do or whatever? But when the lights came halfway up while people were waiting for the post-credit scene, you could see everybody in there, and everybody sitting in front of me. The girls were sitting behind me. Everybody sitting in front of me was turning around, like shooting daggers at them, kind of going, "Will you stop?" And the film was over, and at this point, and then when the post-credit scene actually started, somebody did actually tell them to be quiet. It was another woman, kind of similar age, told them to be quiet. But when I was walking out, everybody was complaining.
So sad.
Oh no.
Everybody sat there going, should I say something?
Yeah.
Should I not? And the thing is, I would
Just
say
go for it.
my new thing now is I'm going to say something, because I was sitting there going, am I just being a cranky?
No, absolutely not.
I give people loads of leeway through ads and credits. I give people leeway through the first sort of 5 minutes of a movie, but at a certain point I'll go, hey, listen, could you stop?
Yeah, because like people are paying for it.
Ads and trailers and like sometimes the credits things are I think once the movie starts, try to speak a little bit quietly at least.
Yeah.
It was crazy though, because like
You just don't go see a movie.
it wasn't just little chit chat. They were talking about anything and everything.
Like, what's the point of going to a movie?
Like,
We're just kind of like,
why are you even here? Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
But it was and interesting enough, most of the people I heard complaining, like it was other women kind of talking about them, saying like you know, I would have felt bad
Guy
being
criticizing
fucking,
them.
you know, a guy in his 30s going to see the comic book kids movie.
No, this is mainstream
Absolutely,
fucking media.
yeah, no,
We have a nerd podcast. This is
I
work.
remember seeing Iron Man 2 and it was basically like maybe like 5 people in the cinema, including myself and my friend who saw it, and maybe one other person, and then there was a couple that were kind of sitting at the back and like maybe like 6 seats down from us or something, you know, and they just talked the entire way during the movie. And at one stage I was literally just like, okay, this is a joke, because like if they didn't want to see the movie and they were going to talk, go to a cafe, you know. And I literally,
Yeah, exactly.
just turned around at one stage and just said, "Guys, please, I'm just trying to watch it." And oh my god, they just got so upset. And I think they even it encouraged them to kind of go more overboard with it, you know. And then they
That's the
left,
other risk.
and then they
is the
did
thing,
leave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At a quieter screening.
Like you think you're out of the
When I
woods.
went to see Superbad, so many years ago, there was a guy and his girlfriend behind us, and they spent the first 15 minutes going, "Yeah, this is good, isn't it? Yeah, this is good. I'm enjoying this. It's a good film, isn't it?" And then the phone rang, and he answered the phone, and I said, "Hey, can you please turn the phone off? We're in the cinema." He leaned down to me and went, "Are you in your mind? I'm on the phone. Shush."
Oh my god.
You were definitely on a sketch show that never aired. that had to be a bit.
Jesus.
And then a couple of minutes later, they got up and left.
Well, thank goodness for that.
That was definitely a bit.
I saw I went to see, what movie was it? Taken with Liam Neeson, and we were literally in there just
You went to see it with him.
yeah, he was a teacher.
That's
He used to
crazy.
teach my man. No, my mum's older than him. Why would she
Nice.
teach my mother? But
I don't know how old you are, your mother is, or Liam
She was a
Neeson is.
Padawan.
you know how old I am. But same age as our Lord and Savior. If you don't know that,
Robert and Michael Doblin.
Dead.
I was gonna go Ewan McGregor.
who's that? Oh, that's Jesus. Yes. But I went to I saw Taken, featuring Liam Neeson, and someone shouted up like, "Oh, is that your man Michael Collins or something?" You know, and then someone said, "Shut the fuck up," and then someone said like 2 minutes later, "Does anybody smell gas?" And then the fellow who said it was Michael Collins, the woman who said it was Michael Collins, she screamed at that person to shut the fuck up. It was like she was mortified that someone told her to shut the fuck up, you know. And I was just like, then when somebody said something loud, she took her opportunity to put down somebody else. But it was the most nuts thing in the world. It was just kind of like, who shouts something in the cinema to get acknowledgement from other people in terms of like, "Is that your man Michael Collins?" And it's just like, who's gonna turn around and be like, "Yeah," you know what I mean? Like, it's just so weird. And then someone shouted, "Does anybody else smell gas?" It was so funny.
There is an interesting question about a generation of 10-year-olds that would be sort of cinema socialized that didn't really get that over the last year and a half. So we might have this whole little like pocket generation of people that don't know how to behave in a cinema.
Oh god.
Oh, I
no.
think
Thanks, pandemic.
Oh god.
I think we've always had it.
Well, these girls were 15 or 16, so.
No, people are fucking idiots.
Yeah, but we've always had it. We've always had it, to be fair, you know.
Yeah.
So the takeaway is
just
what?
get it.
We should just get comfortable watching films at home.
I like watching
I
films
mean,
at home.
I can't.
No, just you're not the only person who's uncomfortable with the people talking, and you should definitely say it because everybody else is thinking
Yeah.
the same thing.
Or just rent out a
Cinemas
cinema.
are great.
No,
Or
that's
the
expensive.
Yeah, but just like it's a good goal. Like I'm gonna get rich just purely because I can rent out or build one in your house, and then you've got the big screen, you've got the surround sound, but you don't have the
I don't know what
people ruining it.
I don't know what the prices are, but I was definitely hearing stories in the States where it's just, or maybe in the UK where it's like $100, rent a cinema, see a film with your mates. We'll put anything on the screen if you.
You can play PlayStation.
Yeah,
They do that in
It's not
Cineworld.
actually-
Amazing. Wow.
it's not actually that unachievable. Like you're not going to do it every
No.
weekend, but if you had a party
You can do it
coming
for
up,
your
you got a
birthday
bunch
or
of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They do it in Cineworld. You can get one of the screens and you can play PlayStation. You can watch a movie, whatever, for like an hour.
That's so cool.
Maybe we should do our end of stream birthday party in the cinema. We can invite all 7 people.
We can invite the listener.
Yes. Yeah. That listener was actually me. That was my question.
I knew it was. I knew 100% it was.
I lied. We don't have any listeners. It's a nerd podcast. You didn't ask me if I was content this weekend. They didn't normally ask me if I'm content. If I'm still content.
Oh yeah, let's get a contentment check from Kevin. Kevin, are you content? Kevin has decided or announced at one point for the new listeners joining us. Always remember, as Stanley said, everyone's comic is somebody's first comic. Kevin decided to announce one time that he had achieved contentment in his life. And we do a little contentment check occasionally. Kevin?
I've realized that reaching contentment is hard for the people in terms of like they may not be happy with you, being content, and it's hard to be content when being content is an issue for people.
Are you content? Yes or no?
No.